city riding. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter college. Whole squad been trained to go. Fence for life, we throw the foe. Singing this just to welcome bro. To a time, to a time. Time to grind, time to shine. To a time, to a time. To a time, to a time.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Stephen D. And this is the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. What is up? What's going on, everybody? Good morning to my family with a PH and my Finlaws around the world. Super excited to be hanging out here today and having an awesome time here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. I am your host, Stephen D. You can follow me at all social media at Stephen D SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. I already said Twitter, TikTok, everything, Facebook, and all at Stephen D SKPL. Make sure you follow Miami Sports Music everywhere at Miami Sports Music and on Twitter at MIA Sports Music. On your way in this morning, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. No, seriously, subscribe. But if you're not subscribed already, what are you doing? Subscribe to the channel. Big deal. Make sure you guys do that. Would love to see y'all there. Also, if you want to sign up and become a member today, there are plenty of seats waiting at the table for you. I'm serious. There are plenty of seats waiting at the table for you. Just hit the button in the description below. There's a link in the description below that says membership. And you sign up, you become a member. Click that link, sign up and become a member today. Join the family. Make sure you sign up today. There are plenty of seats. Would love to see you there. Hey, if you want to help the channel grow by donating, there's lots of different ways you can do it, okay? No, seriously. You guys can use the YouTube Live Super Chat, which is the $ below the bottom of the chat, and you can give us a super sticker or a super chat if you're watching us live. If you're not watching us live and you're watching us on replay, they have YouTube Super Thanks. And the really cool thing about YouTube Super Thanks is it's a heart sign with a dollar. It's a heart with a $ in the logo. Right below the screen here, you'll see that. And you can click that if you're rewatching us and not watching us live, which is great too. The other couple different ways to help our channel grow is you can donate through Cashapp and PayPal. $ MSMpodcastNetwork or the QR code right on your screen, or PayPal with the QR code right on your screen. Okay, big deal. Make sure you guys do that. It helps the channel grow. Thank you for your donation. It's big. Okay. Want to give a big shout out to sponsors of the show who are absolutely amazing in their sport. ZSM Sports, the #1 place to get your cars, jerseys, balls, and hard to find items. ZSM Sports. Hangry Owls, good food, good mood, craft subs and salads. Make sure you guys give them a call at 305-279-5332. Okay. Seriously, it's awesome. Make sure y'all do that. Vezasor. We love some Vezasor. That's right. Official beer of Clock Blockers. Born and raised, a beer created for the fans by the fans. Make sure you get Vezasor today. Great beer. We love them. And Vezasor Brewing Company, located in Woodwood, Miami, Florida area. Awesome. Go there, visit, hang out. Great place to have some drinks and hang out with friends. Great place to sit.com. You need a ticket to the game, anything. You'll see the link in the description below. You can click on it. The price you see is the price you get. And if you give them a call and you use the code word DWA, you get 5% off on your tickets, which is great. And last but not least, Tail Greeter. Tail Greeter. Download the app today on your current Crapple or Android device. That's right. I said Crapple. I didn't say Apple. Okay. Make sure y'all do that. And just a reminder, we're going to have some great tailgates for you this upcoming season in Washington for the FedEx Takeover, in Philadelphia for the Philly Invasion, and Baltimore for the Baltimore Beatdown. Make sure you download the free app today on all, Android and Apple Crapple devices. Okay. All right. What's up? How's everybody doing this morning? Appreciate Caslin with the first $5 donation of the day. Miami's about to have one of the biggest names in sports, as there is a new Inter Miami resident. Is that official? Is that going down? Is Messi coming to Miami? That would be interesting. I I know that was talked about right after the World Cup, but I don't know if that's happening or not. I mean, I haven't seen too much about it. I thought he was going to PSG and was playing for PSG. So I don't think he's coming to Messi, or I don't think he's coming to Miami. I would love to see him come to Miami, and maybe he does in a year or two, but I don't think he will before that, personally, Caslin. All right, this morning it is Hot Take Tuesday. I have a co-host, as I do each and every Tuesday for the most part, and that is Nando Talk. He will be joining us momentarily. Super excited to have him on the show today. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm on Twitter. I'm doing everything, but obviously, some news came out yesterday that I thought was really interesting, and I want to talk about it today, and that is Philip Rivers. If you guys heard yesterday, when our starting quarterback Tua Tagovailoa went down last year, Philip Rivers called the Miami Dolphins late in the season to ask if he was going to see if, hey, can I come play? I'm interested in playing. Are you guys interested? And obviously it didn't come to fruition, but it's very interesting because he contacted the 49ers and the Dolphins about coming out of retirement late last season. So I just wanted to touch on that. Number one, I tell people all the time, when people retire from the NFL, especially quarterbacks for the most part, especially long tenured ones, they miss the game. It's one of those things that the level of competition that they played at for so long, they still feel like they can do it. And I believe Philip Rivers missed the competition. What I will say about the Philip Rivers saga and the story is very interesting. This is a very interesting time of year, right? Where, we just finished the NFL Combine. The NFL Draft is upon us here in the next few weeks. I think, and this kind of goes back to the story that I was discussing yesterday about people and their sources and rumors and just everything is flying. And I think if you're asking me, when a talented media source or an exceptional one, actually, I won't even say talented, I'll say exceptional, somebody that has a history of saying, hey, I have sources, and then it comes to fruition. I'm not saying they have to hit 10 out of 10 every time. I'm not saying they have to always hit. I'm just saying that they have to have a history of hitting on, rumors and stuff. I take that with a grain of salt. Do I think that this Philip Rivers thing is true? Maybe. Rich Eisen is, allegedly is the one who put it out there. I love Rich. I love his show. He's been in the industry for a long time. And I'm not saying that he didn't hear that. I think that 90% of what comes out of people's mouths, they have heard from somebody. I'm not saying that people don't just make up stories out of the blue. I know it happens. But I also know that I think most reputable people, content create, or I won't even say content creators. I'll say people that cover teams or media sources or media outlets. They at least hear it from somebody. Now, what they choose to put out and discuss, that's a totally different story. If you heard from the cleaning lady at the Miami Dolphins building and she said that she heard that Philip Rivers, I was cleaning Chris Greer's office, and I heard Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer talking about Philip Rivers coming there, and then the cleaning lady, is a source for another. And by the way, that didn't happen. I'm just saying that is a source. The secretary is a source. Somebody in the organization can be anybody. It doesn't have to be somebody that works on the football operation capacity side. It can be anybody. So when somebody tells me that they have a source, I take it with a grain of salt and say, okay, I'm sure that they do. But that doesn't mean that A, it's accurate, or B, that's the thing. Or, and I think that is true of most people that have sources. Jay Glazer doesn't hit on everything. Ian Rappaport doesn't hit on everything. Adam Schefter doesn't hit on everything, but they all have track records of hitting on stuff. So just understand whether it's Josina Anderson or, whoever it is. And I don't mean to call those people out by name, but, at the end of the day, they're going to say that this time of the year, they have to create content. And so you're going to be making more phone calls than you would maybe during the season. It's easy to do content during football season and talk about everything that's going on the field because there's a million things you can discuss. Coaching strategies. Why did they call timeout here? Why are they running this game plan here against this team? And when they have a top defense and, why isn't he passing more? And why aren't the throws more accurate? All that is very easy debatable on a week in, week out basis during the season. When you have this time of year and news is slow, rumors are going to come out of the woodwork. So obviously yesterday, not only was the Phillip Rivers story something that took place, but the Tom Brady story kind of broke out again and has some life to it all over again. With Rich Eisen also saying that, hey, Tom Brady, don't be surprised that Tom Brady comes out of retirement to play for the Dolphins. And it's so interesting when you see that, man. It's it's interesting. Noob says, I'll take Anderson over these clowns on Twitter and YouTube telling you they heard crap and they're sourced up. Lie about something more believable. I think that's the problem. Everybody says they have a source, and I'm not questioning people that have sources. I'm just telling you at the end of the day, everybody's got something and, or everybody's got something, but everybody has, I believe most people when they say they have a source, but who that source is and where they're come from, I'm not saying that it's accurate or that I should, take it. I just take it with a grain of salt and understand that, yes, content creators, yes, people can stand behind, I have a source and they can live on that. They can die on that hill. That's fine. Take it with a grain of salt and understand that they probably are telling the truth. Most of them are telling the truth. They have a source, but where that source is from, just understand it can be anybody. That's what I want people to understand when I'm having this conversation with y'all. It can be anybody. It can be the cleaning lady. It can be the groundskeeper. It can be anybody. It can be, we laugh about Pete. Shout out to Pete with his gas station attendant all the time. But you take it with a grain of salt. Okay, just understand that. And I'm not saying I believe Pete's gas station attendant, and I know that's a joke, but just understand what I'm trying to say. And some people take it personal. Some fans take it personal when that stuff happens. Don't take it personal. Just don't take it personal. And understand that, yes, it is crazy this time of year. The fact that people are having the Tom Brady discussion all over again. I mean, look, here's the problem. Brett Favre was the problem. He started that nonsense. So for the next 2 off seasons, guaranteed, Tom Brady will be a discussion. Next 2 off seasons. This off season and next one. Whether he comes back or not, the next 2 off seasons, there will be some rumor, whether it's the Dolphins or another football team, that Tom Brady, this team reached out to Tom Brady, or allegedly Tom Brady's representatives reached out to this team to see if they'd be interested. What are we, a year removed from Phillip Rivers, or 2? Are we 2 years removed from Phillip Rivers? And now we're getting Phillip Rivers stories that he allegedly went to the Niners and the Dolphins. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but just understand it. I don't know about that, Steven. I believe Anderson as much as I believe Pete's gas station sauce. Players have a slew of people connected to them, family, managers, trainers, and agents, so on and so forth. Coke Master D says, my source is the vending guy. See, there you go. Exactly. It could be the vending machine guy. Brady waiting for a quarterback to go down in between Halloween and Thanksgiving to ride in. I believe that a little bit. There's a side of me that's like, Brady retired once. for 31 days. I believe that he's, the Brett Favre thing's going to happen again. There's a side of me that does believe that he's going to wait for that to happen. My sources said your made-up source is dumb. All right. Miami Sports Music's number one Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Just waiting for our boy Nando Talk to be coming in. We're going to be hanging out with him this morning. In the meantime, if you guys have a question or you guys, want me to discuss on a particular topic, I'll be more than happy to. Just put it in the chat. Hashtag Ask Steven. And I'll be more than happy to answer whatever question you have. Would like to try to keep it Dolphins related this morning. Because there's just so many things to talk about. One of the things that I love is this time of year when it comes to draft analysis, and everybody's got a shot. And it does suck not having a first round pick, because when you get into the second and third rounds, mock drafts can be a little crazy. And what I will say is most people mock drafts, they're not in the room with these GMs. And sometimes when it comes down to it, when you get it after the second round, it's best player on the board. So I think anything after a second round mock draft is a shot in the dark. Shot in the dark. I'm not saying that these teams aren't looking at certain players and don't like some of these guys. I'm just saying the chances of them being there at their pick are slim to none, because there's a whole slew of teams that have the same analysis that they have about players. So just be careful with those mock drafts after the second round. First two rounds, okay. I can hear that a little bit. But anything after that, I think, is it's a shot in the dark. Shot in the dark. Jose Valdez says, my source is the dog that barks at me when I'm delivering mail. You guys are too much. I want to say good morning to the people in the chat while I'm waiting for Nando to come on. I got Tricker Sean, Cap for Life, Jose Valdez is in the building. Nando Talk says he's coming on. We hear you, Nando. Chef Shoe, Cap for Life. My source has been Big O, and he's not been wrong yet. He was the first one to tell all of you that everyone was coming back in the front office, and you guys did not want to believe me. All right. We got Manza Chill. We got Jose. I already said Cap. Who else? Noob, level 2 Noob is in the building. Jason Sarney is in the building. Hello, Jason. Good morning, buddy. Good to see you. Coke Master D. Who else I got up in here this morning? I'm just going through. Caslin, obviously. Good morning, Kaz. The White Carlton Stanton. Okay. Dolphin Winters watching on Facebook. Good to see you, buddy. Super excited about y'all. Someone said the Dolphins are in active negotiations with Tua on an extension, but Schefter and Rappaport haven't heard anything. Okay. That's why you work at Mike's Tire Shop and not ESPN. Do I believe that the Dolphins are working on an extension with Tua? I think you can add things together. Right? And what I mean by that is Tua's got new representation. He doesn't have that for any old reason. He knows that, hey, I need to have new representation. I believe that, looking at, do I believe that the Dolphins are having contract extension talks? No, I don't, to be perfectly honest. I think that he's going to finish out this year on the contract. Now, do I think that they're going to give him the 1-year extension? The player option or the team option for the 5th year? That's interesting. I could see the Dolphins giving him that 5th year, because if he does have a good year and they do decide to keep him, it would be it would save them money in the cap 100%. And it would save them money the year after that and the year after that. So I think that I'm undecided if they get the team option of the 5th year on how I feel. I won't be surprised if the team does it. I think it'll say a lot about the organization and how they feel to it if they don't do it. It'll be pretty much, you have this year to do this, and if you don't, you're gone. If they do give him the contract, then we know that they want to keep him on. This says a lot about the front office and where they're headed and where their mind is at with the GM or with their quarterback. So that's what I think about that. Cat for Life says, so we have turned down Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers, and Lamar Jackson. Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, I don't think we've necessarily turned down Tom Brady. We missed out on him. Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if we can say that we missed out on him or we turned him down. Phillip Rivers sounds like we turned him down, according to Rich Eisen. And Lamar Jackson, we've just decided not to. So turning down and just saying we're not interested, that's a totally different story. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is Tuesday. It is Hot Take Tuesday. So let me bring in the co-host, my brother from another mother, ladies and gentlemen, Nando Talk. What's up, man?
What is up, Mr. Steven? Hello, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in.
Super excited
that you're
better, man.
I'm super excited you're feeling better, man.
I was, man. I was. It's whew. Well, I was hurting last week, man.
I finished you sound better.
Antibiotics yesterday, and I feel a lot better. I feel like a new man. New man. I'm probably on the super. Yesterday was at like 90%. Today I'm probably at 95%. So
that's good.
Still have a little bit of a right here, but I'm better. I'm here. I'm with you guys, which is always good.
That's the key.
What have you been up to, man? Last week, I know you've been busy with school, but I seen you active on Twitter. It's been crazy the last couple of weeks, right? With all the rumors and everything flying around.
I've had midterm week, man, last week, but it was still crazy. And us at least weren't hopping on Twitter. I heard you talking about Derek Carr. I don't know if you talked about Geno Smith, but the Phillip Rivers stuff, the Tom Brady stuff, the
Geno
combine.
Smith getting the contract extension yesterday, today. What a 3-year deal with the Seattle Seahawks, guaranteed $60 million. $60 million guaranteed for Geno Smith.
Absolutely insanity for Geno. Good for him for reviving his career. I guess Pete Carroll was able to squeeze out some magic in him.
I mean, look, he's comeback NFL Player of the Year this year. He led the team to the playoffs. I think it's actually kind of funny. You get rid of, and now there's rumors coming out about Russell Wilson and how the team was not a fan of his at all. And allegedly Russell Wilson went to the owner of the Seahawks and said to get rid of Pete Carroll and the GM and keep me. And then they were like, see you later. They get all these capital first round draft picks for him. They get a top draft pick in this year's draft, and they went to the playoffs with Geno Smith.
As a Russell Wilson hater, I love that, man. And I love all the news that's coming out about him. It's so beautiful. It was always so nice to see that Pete Carroll was the driving force behind that team, that he built it. And that Russ, they didn't even like him. They were squeezing out the magic with Geno Smith. I was surprised that they gave him the big money. Steven, they might shoot for Anthony Richardson or something crazy in the draft. Like, Geno Smith is the ultimate bridge quarterback. It's nothing greater than that, but they seem to be rocking with him. They seem to think they can win with him. They gave him the money instead of Russ.
I mean, 100%. But it also says a lot about the Denver, organization too. I think I was very surprised to see Sean Payton go there not because Denver's not a great place, but because that organization just seems to not have a lot going for them right now. Personally, I think so. They don't have a lot of capital. They don't have a lot of draft stock over the next couple of years. Right?
A lot of turmoil.
Where's there for you? There's turmoil within the front office, ownership, everything, right? And so I was very surprised to see him go there. And then obviously now with Russell Wilson being there and Pete Carroll saying again this past weekend at the Combine that, doubling down saying, Russell Wilson isn't going to have an office. He's He's not going to be allowed to have his personal training staff. It'll be team, people only. I mean, he's coming down and laying the law. I don't know if Russell Wilson lasts much longer in the NFL personally.
Yeah, his leash is going to be very tight. Like Sean Payton, he doubled down. He was very adamant about none of the other coaches coming in. Like Russell Wilson not having an office, going back to his own floor with the players, not being up there with the coaching staff. I don't know if he'll be much longer in the NFL, but I do think that the leash is very short. That Sean Payton's no nonsense, none of that little jazz. And if Russell Wilson puts up with his antics and keeps his antics up but doesn't produce, then yeah, bro. Like Sean Payton, quick snip snap will try to move on. I guess I don't know what you try to recover some picks for Russell Wilson maybe. But
yeah, I mean, look,
really
who's going to take Russell Wilson right now?
Exactly.
Go around the league. Like, who's messing with that right now? And it's funny because yesterday we're sitting here talking about Derek Carr going to the Saints, and I want to get into that a little bit too. But I think it's funny because there is a lot of need for good quarterbacks around the NFL, whether they be starters or backups, right? And to think that I think a team would be crazy to go after Russell Wilson right now. For no other reason than there's just so much drama circling him. And, allegedly, he doesn't allow certain teammates to talk to him. Or you have to, he's got his own office in the building next to the head coach.
Coaches.
Or kid,
Yeah.
It's totally weird. It's totally weird looking at that. Let's talk about Derek Carr. Derek Carr, obviously, having his opportunity of where he wants to go.
Good for him.
Flew to New York, sat with them. Flew to New Orleans, sat with them. And I don't know what other phone calls he might have had with other teams around the NFL, maybe even including him staying in Vegas, which I didn't think was going to happen. But at the end of the day, he ends up signing a lucrative deal in New Orleans and going to the Saints. What do you think about Derek Carr with the Saints? He automatically is the best quarterback in that division now.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'm happy for Derek Carr. While Russell Wilson is out here losing his sub, it's off the Subway menu. At least the name is the lineup is still there, but the name is gone. Derek Carr got to choose where he got to go. Said, screw the Jets. I love that, Steven. I really do think – I don't think that was him meeting and them saying we're thinking of Rodgers. It was him saying, good luck getting Rodgers. You can't even get me. And he went to New Orleans, and they're good. They're so much better off there. Derek Carr, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas should be coming back, Alvin Kamara. I think they should be making some noise, man. Good for Derek Carr. Good for Derek Carr.
Yeah, Derek Carr definitely going there makes, automatically the NFC South favorites. My personal opinion, there's no quarterback in Carolina. There's no quarterback in Atlanta. Well, there's Desmond Ridder in Atlanta, but who knows? They released Marcus Mariota. Not saying that he was anything either, but and then there's no quarterback in Tampa. So right now, the whole NFC South doesn't have a quarterback minus the Saints, who now have Derek Carr. And so, it'll be very interesting to see what those other three teams going into next year, who those quarterbacks will be in Atlanta, Carolina, and Tampa, obviously. Because I thought Derek Carr, one of the places I think he would have ended up, I thought he was going to end up in Tampa, personally. But it sounds like Tampa didn't even make a big run at him. And now I'm hearing they like Kyle Trask a lot. Kyle Trask is the only quarterback that is currently on the Tampa Bay roster. It sounds like, the Florida product is liked in the building. Kyle Trask, starting quarterback in the NFL next year? Question mark?
Big question mark, bro. Like, I guess I could see it from like a marketing standpoint. He is a guy who went to UF.
Florida,
Yeah, he's a Florida guy. Like, it's right across from there from Tampa. It's something you could sell to fans very easily and be like, hey, like, remember that guy you were watching a couple of years back? He was balling. Come watch him now. Brady's disciple or whatever. Like, you have to let it ride, at least if you have no other options. But I was surprised. You saying they didn't go for Derek Carr at all, man?
Well, I mean, look, he didn't meet with them. Whether they talked to him or not, they didn't meet with him. So,
yeah, I mean, it's wild, man.
It's
Carr's
big.
Good enough, yeah.
And Bruce Arians, obviously not the head coach there anymore, but still the GM there. The dude just said it in the chat. He's big, according to Good Morning Football, he's big on Kyle Trask. They liked him. I knew they liked him a lot coming out of the draft. but it'll be interesting to see where they go. Real quick, want to go back to the Derek Carr thing. He goes to New York. I just want to touch on the Jets for a minute. Goes to New York. New York gives him this huge sales pitch, quote unquote, according to people and their sources. They said stuff like in the meeting, you come here, you'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. We'll win you a couple of Super Bowls. We have everything here. We got a great head coach. We got a great young foundation. Come here and win, and we'll give you whatever. We'll make you the highest paid quarterback. Allegedly, they said that money wasn't an option. So I think his deal was $150 million. Why can't the Jets get anybody to come to their team? They lose out last year on Tyreek Hill because they had the better trade on the table to Kansas City, and they had the more money on the table to Tyreek Hill. It was a better contract. Why can't the Jets get anybody to come to New York?
Because they suck.
They do. I agree with that.
Like, I definitely don't think it was Carr's, like, them saying, like, hey, bro, here's this beautiful sales pitch. But actually, we're thinking about Aaron Rodgers, so TikTok decide. Or, actually, you know what? Psych, we're going to go the Rodgers route. No, it was Derek Carr saying, screw New York. I don't want you. None of this fancy. You think I live in a fantasy land? Derek Carr was probably like, yo, this is ridiculous. Hall of Famer, Super Bowls in New York? Yeah. Good luck with that. I'm going to New Orleans. And he just left, man. I'm so happy to see that. If you can't get Derek Carr, you're not getting Aaron Rodgers, man. It's just not happening.
Well, now the news this morning coming out that Aaron Rodgers is open, I put that in quotation marks, to the idea of joining the New York Jets, but nothing imminent is there. But he is open to the idea for the Jets. I call BS on that, and here's why. Aaron Rodgers, number one, has always lived in the shadow of Brett Favre in Green Bay. Correct?
1,000%.
And they those two guys never got along in the first place. Number two, the Jets themselves, somebody QB1 just put it in the chat. They don't have a winning culture there. Okay?
Not at all.
They don't. Now, do they have a good young nucleus? There's things to be excited about it with that team. Look, Robert Saleh, I like Saleh. I'm going to be honest with you. I like him. He's a good head coach, good young head coach. I like Sauce Gardner. I mean, already as a rookie, I got to put him as top 5 defender.
He's grown on me, man.
He's amazing. Okay. But Jets quarterbacks, since Super Bowl III, they have not had a good one there. Okay. That includes Mr. Butt Fumble himself that brought him to 2 AFC championship games, which I still don't know how that happened.
Franchise, baby.
Okay. But at the end of the day, I don't think they've had a great quarterback there in a very, very long time. But Brett Favre goes there at the end of his career for 1 year and loses to the Dolphins, by the way, to Chad Pennington and the Dolphins. And the Dolphins go to the playoffs that year. That was great. Last week of the season in New York. We kicked Brett Favre and the Jets out of the playoffs. It was amazing. The last thing Aaron Rodgers wants to do is, if he goes to another team, is go to the same exact team that Brett Favre went to, because his career will forever be looked at and compared to Brett Favre's. He does not want that. I promise. Look, I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers might not go. Like, he might say the money's too much. Like, if the Jets are smart, they'll say, we'll make you the highest paid quarterback of all time. Whatever you want per year, right? Like, I don't think the game along, but they'll say, we'll make you the highest paid quarterback of all time. We'll give you whatever you want. Whatever you want. We want you here in New York. They better go all out with him, because and by the way, I don't think that would work to bring Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. But I find it funny that the Jets, being a big market football team, cannot bring in a quarterback to their football team. And when they do draft quarterbacks or bring in young quarterbacks, they don't work out. So it's very interesting, the that whole situation with the Favre. I know the Favre. William Perry said that's not true, Steven. Roger said how close he was with Favre. AJ Hawk has even said it. I call BS. Those guys don't like each other at all.
Well, whether they're close or not, like what he goes to the Jets. What's next?
He doesn't want
Minnesota afterwards.
He
saying?
doesn't want his career to be linked to him.
Exactly. It's the parallels already so like they're already there. They're both Green Bay guys. Like he's already had to deal with his shadow after passing the torch off to him, or getting the torch passed off to him. To go to New York, like the only option left after that would be to go to Minnesota and just keep going with those Favre parallels.
I know, right? Well, they got primetime Kirk Cousins, who's absolutely amazing in primetime. Being sarcastic.
Hey, that would be Steven. I mean, like you talk about a tinfoil hat theory, bro. Like that'd be a beautiful for Minnesota. You have Kirk Cousins for most of the games, but you have Aaron Rodgers on the bench for just the primetime games, just the big games. Then you're like,
Aaron,
all right,
come
Kirk,
here to Minnesota. We'll pay you this amount of money. You sit on the bench, and all you have to do is play in the primetime games for Minnesota.
Like, look, man, you think about the Jets, like come to the Vikings, speed up the process, okay? Keep going with the Favre timeline and just end up in Minnesota. Just play in the primetime games, play against all the Green Bay games twice a year. You're gonna kick their asses, and you'll be fine. You'll be good to go, bro.
Yeah,
Kirk and Rodgers.
Well, ultimately, where do you think Rodgers is? Does he stay in Green Bay for next year? Does he get traded to a team, or does he retire? What do you think ultimately happens with Aaron Rodgers?
So I don't think the Jets rumor is wrong, and I heard your conversation about sources earlier. Like what Rich Eisen had been saying was it's just stuff you had heard around the combine. So the fact that Rodgers maybe wants to leave, the direct thing he said about Aaron Rodgers in his rumors was the Packers would be okay with him saying, I don't want to come back. The question is where? If the Jets can't end up with him, Steven, like, I don't know where he could end up. I saw someone saying Tennessee because they're trying to move on from Tannehill, but it's about like capital. Like, who has the capital to trade for Aaron Rodgers? Like, I don't even know what the asking price is for a quarterback who's been teetering on retirement, old, not exactly on his best, but when he is at his best, he's like a multiple-time MVP. He's Aaron freaking Rodgers, bro. Maybe the Jets, maybe the Titans.
I'll be real with you. I think he costs 2 first-round picks minimum. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to think of teams who have like 2 first-round picks, 3 for like capital to be able to even trade for him, and it doesn't seem like there's that many partners. Like the Jets do have some pretty lucrative picks, I think, still. Do the Titans even have it? I'm gonna pull up like an NFL list right now.
I'll tell you if he retires, El Crapitan for GM in the chat. I don't know if that's Michael K.
Washington, maybe? Would you think that?
Well, I'll get into that in a second. Says that the Packers are on the hook for $100 million in dead cap money. I think it's $91 million or something like that.
Oh,
dead cap. Like, it's crazy. Like, I went over it a couple weeks ago with somebody on the channel. Absolutely insane. The dead cap if he retires this year for them. But
you would just like destroy them if he did that. That's
crazy. I know. So look, I think he either stays in Green Bay. And I think the only place he really wants to come to is Florida, whether that's Tampa Bay or Miami. And Green Bay's been adamant saying they're not going to trade him to an NFC team. So how are they going to get him to Tampa?
Yeah, no.
It's not going to happen. If Green Bay doesn't want him to go to an NFC team.
I don't know how much leverage Rodgers has to try to push that, but I agree. Like, I don't know if the Packers would want to send him into the same conference. They could send him to the AFC. I mean, like, I'm looking at AFC teams.
And by the way, Vegas, I still think is another, like, Mark Davis could easily come in last second and be like, I'll give you whatever you want for Aaron Rodgers.
That could be beautiful. That was the 6th rumor that Rich Eisen had, that Mark Davis is not actually bald, Steven.
He's not bald.
That's
the rumor. Not a toupee on the top of his head.
The rumor was, he might not be bald, bro.
Look, let's go to Tennessee. Tennessee, first day they were allowed to start releasing players, released 3 right off the bat, back-to-back off seasons. AJ Brown, he gets traded out of there. Last offseason, now allegedly this offseason, Derrick Henry's on the market. It looks like they are scrubbing and cleaning house in Tennessee. What do you think happens with Tannehill? And ultimately, where is Tannehill playing next year?
Steven, I might turn that Dolphins Tannehill jersey around because there's even a rumor he might come here, bro. There's a rumor that Tanny might be coming back to Miami, be a little backup quarterback / a little camp push if he wants to. You know, I'd be down for Tannehill to the Dolphins on the right contract. By the way,
that's never going to happen. I just want to throw that out there. Anybody I've seen it out there in the Twitterverse. There is no way on God's green earth that Ryan Tannehill's coming back to the Dolphins. I can 100% say that without a shadow of the doubt. That will never happen.
I mean, think about it. You're moving teams means you got to remove your charity again, bro. Why not come back to the place where your charity's already got some roots, man? Come back to Miami. It's very easy. Hire up some old folks again. And I don't even fit in that jersey anymore, bro. But
let's just imagine. Let's just pretend for a second. Put your tinfoil hat on. Let's just pretend for a second, Nando, for fun. If Tannehill came back to the Dolphins to back up Tua, what that would do to this fan base? It would be, bro. It would be
here for it. I love it,
bro. It would. I could not imagine the fan base if Tannehill came back to back up Tua. And then Tua's going to get hurt this year, so we're going to see Tannehill again. Like, could you? Like, come on. No way. Might as well bring back Matt Henne. Let him be the third string.
I
know he retired this year.
Bring back Chad Henne. If Matt Moore was still active, I think Matt Moore actually retired. But if Matt Moore was here, I'd say bring him back too.
Why not? We have 4 quarterbacks next year. Well, Tua will be the starter. Tannehill will be the backup. Third string will be Henne. And when they finally get to the third string of Henne, because Tannehill and Tua gets hurt, you might as well call up Matt Moore and say, hey, man, you want to come out of retirement and be the backup to Henne? Let's just have the last 4 quarterbacks.
Let them all duke it out, bro. Let them all. He who survives, bro. Only the strong will.
Oh my God! God forbid
on the right contract, man. Like Tannehill had or not, bro. But like, he's not bad on the right deal. He'd be okay. Like, it's at this point, like without Carr, like again off the free agent market. I mean, is Jimmy G officially a free agent?
Jimmy G is officially a free agent.
Okay, so then Jimmy G is still the best quarterback on the market, but besides then, it's down to that Taylor Heineke, Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew role.
Marcus Mariota,
yeah. I mean, I'd rather have Marcus Mariota over Tannehill. At least he has he's got the background with Tua. Like it wouldn't be like turmoil in the locker room, because I do agree Tannehill would be a crazy turmoil, crazy upheaval.
I want to get to the backup quarterback in a second, but there's a couple of other things I want to talk about. Ultimately, just
if he doesn't end up with Miami, I don't know where he'll go. Like honestly, then he's more fighting. He'll be in a situation where Mariota was. Like he's like going to a team where it's like,
does he play for the backup next year?
If they're cleaning house like this now, like if they move on from Henry,
I agree. There's no point in the Titans keeping Ryan Tannehill. There's none. So I believe that Tannehill will be on a different team next year. Where he'll be, I don't know. Where I think he could end up back in Florida, but to Tampa Bay.
I could see that happen.
You get to, hey, you know what? You get to be in the room. You allow Kyle Trask. Maybe they don't want Trask to start right away. They want to keep on prepping him. The moment Tannehill starts doing bad, which will happen very quickly, you get the chance for Trask to come in and save the day. You get to bring him along a little bit. I could totally see 100% Tannehill ending up in Tampa Bay if Tampa Bay cannot get Aaron Rodgers. Or Jimmy Garoppolo. Because Garoppolo could end up in Tampa too. And that brings me to, where do you think Jimmy Garoppolo will be next year?
Okay. I could see him go to Tampa. Last thing on Tannehill, I could definitely see him going to Tampa. I love that, Steven, especially if they like Kyle Trask, because just then it's like, oh, we can let them compete too and maybe not give him the best deal.
I think it'd be a great thing for Trask. If you bring Jimmy G there, you have to pay him a bag, and Jimmy G all of a sudden becomes
the future of
the franchise. Yeah,
he
becomes the future of your franchise. and you pay him a bag, and so that's to me that would say what they really think about Trask, and that's they think Jimmy G's better than Trask. So, that's what it is. But I think all the rumors I've heard is that they love Kyle Trask.
Yeah,
and
I think Tannehill would be more that route.
Tannehill would be a perfect fit in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I agree on that. I really like that move. Steven, you might have called it nailed it on the head right there. Bada bing, bada bang. That might be a clip. But I think that Jimmy G, if you allow me to shoot my shot, so probably do the Jets, man. Like, I know they want Rodgers, but they'll probably end up with Jimmy G if he's the best guy on the market. I would want to see them shell out some picks, but they're going to get the free agent guy. They're going to get Jimmy G. I don't see him going anywhere else, really, because he needs to get a starting job. Maybe he goes to Indy, but they have a high draft pick. They'd rather go for a younger guy in the draft, I assume.
Well, let's talk about the couple of teams where Jimmy G could end up. There's like 5 teams, okay? The New York Jets.
Maybe.
Okay, the New York
Colts
Jets.
need a QB.
The Colts, the Washington
Panthers need a QB.
Commanders.
The Commanders need a QB. That might be an option, honestly, with Eric
Tampa Bay and Vegas.
Tampa. Oh, yeah, Vegas. Wow. They didn't even have an heir apparent there. They have nothing in the wings.
I don't know what Tampa Bay does, or I don't know what Vegas does right now.
Yeah, they don't even have.
I have no idea what Vegas does. Now, Vegas could easily go draft. And by the way, Tannehill, that's another place he could end up. Vegas, right? They draft a young quarterback. Tannehill starts there. They now personally, I don't think he does end up in Vegas because I think Jimmy. Imagine trying to sell tickets in Las Vegas as Ryan Tannehill is your starting quarterback. Not good. Not going to happen.
Jimmy, we'll talk about that's why Jimmy G to Vegas, bro. Then you'll have them being Josh McDaniel will be able to sell
that to the fan base, and you can sell that to the team.
I coach this kid in New England. Like I know what he can do. We're bringing him here, and that's the plan. So they
draft a young quarterback. They bring in Jimmy G or they bring in Tannehill. By the way, I said Carolina. I didn't say Carolina. Carolina too.
No, Carolina.
Look, you got the Jets, Washington Commanders, Carolina Panthers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Tennessee Titans, which they're probably going to go with. Who's the quarterback? The young quarterback that's there in Tennessee.
The Titans have Malik Willis.
Yeah, Malik Willis. So I think Malik Willis is going to end up being there. You got the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know what they're going to do this year, right? And then you go to Vegas.
Colts have a high draft pick, man. They're probably going QB.
I've heard rumors that allegedly Stafford's contemplating retirement or at least playing one more year or two.
John Walford season.
I don't know. There's a lot of question marks at a lot of different places, you have Jimmy Garoppolo. So, all right, let's play the quarterback carousel real quick. First, I want the first team that comes to your head. Okay. Actually, I think this will be a lot more fun. Who's the starting quarterback for this team next year? We'll do it like this.
There we go.
New York Jets. Who's the starting quarterback next year?
New York Jets. Dang. Is there an option besides Jimmy G that I'm missing here?
I mean, look, and just so you know, there's Marcus Mariota, there's Ryan Tannehill, there's Aaron Rodgers, there's
all right, let's rock with the T-ha-ha Tannehill to the Jets, bro. It'll be so funny, like kind of like when Pennington went there, but with a lot less success, if that's even possible.
So Tannehill is the starting quarterback for the New York Jets next year.
Yeah, and they miss out everyone.
And they draft a young quarterback.
Yeah, they retry in the draft, and then it'll be hilarious for us.
Okay, so all right, I could totally see that scenario playing out. Washington Commanders, do they stick with Sam Howell from the University of North Carolina? Which, just so you know, head coach down there, the Gambler, has said that. Riverboat Ron.
Now that I'm on this Jimmy G to the Raiders train, yeah, man, I think they'd like Howell a lot down there. And Bieniemy, if he's trying to get the head coaching job, what better way to prove that he's that guy than to turn like a 6th round, 5th round dude and Sam Howell into that dude? So,
where does Tyler Heineke end up, by the way?
If they do go with Howell, I think they'll bring him back, especially since they let go of Wentz, and
Okay.
almost as a like, hey, let's rock with the Howell option. And if it doesn't work, we know what we've got with Taylor Heineke at least.
I think that's totally fair. Atlanta Falcons, do they keep Desmond Ridder, or do they draft a young quarterback, or does somebody in free agency come here or go there?
No, yeah, they're going with Ridder. It's a second round pick for them.
Mhm.
I don't see them adding another guy in the draft.
They're going to
Maybe
give
they
them
go.
a chance to see where it happens, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, if
I
the
got
Jets
to
get a
be
better
real.
option than Tannehill, they might. Tanny might go to Falcons.
So
But
I think Ritter starts there, and I think they tank because they want Caleb Williams. They're going to go after Caleb.
I could see that. Yeah,
They are totally the franchise that will try to go after Caleb. 100%.
Yeah, someone's going to be in that collapse for Caleb.
Yeah,
That's going to be the
100%.
hashtag. Collapse
There'll be
for
2 or
Caleb.
3 teams that I think are going to try to go after Caleb. Like, you'll see it. Like, what are they doing this year? Absolutely unreal. But I mean, I totally see them doing that.
The Commanders could say we're rocking with Howell, and if that fails, we're tanking.
Yep. And then Eric Bieniemy gets the head coaching job there the following year, and then you get to have Caleb Williams there.
That could definitely be the play. They'd be like, "Hey, man, we're tanking. Come as the OC, as that way when we fire Ron Rivera, like we just promote you, and then you're good to go." So we're basically giving you a head coaching job just in a year's time. And if not, you either get a head coaching job with the Commanders because we failed, or you blew up and you get a head coaching job elsewhere because Sam Howell exploded and he's that dude, or Taylor Heineke finally took off.
I'll be honest with you. Outside of the Dolphins, obviously, there's nobody I'm rooting for more in the NFL than Eric Bieniemy to succeed in Washington, just to prove the haters wrong. Just to prove the haters wrong.
Dan Snyder's got to sell the team first, and I'm right there with you. And then
I hate Dan Snyder too. All right, let's go to Tampa Bay. Who's the starting quarterback in Tampa Bay next year?
Kyle Trask.
Kyle Trask. Not bad. Not bad. Let's go to Nashville. Tennessee Titans. Who's the starting quarterback next year for the Tennessee Titans?
Bro, I feel boring. Not I keep saying the in-house guy, but Malik Willis.
Yep.
Are they bringing back Josh Dobbs?
I think Josh Dobbs is coming back, and I think that Malik Willis. They are another team that I could totally see that they do not care if they lose to try to go after Caleb Williams the following year in the draft.
They could be similar
I think
to the
they're
Titans.
right in the same kind of boat that Washington, Atlanta's kind of in.
That's what I said. I just said Tennessee was similar to the Titans.
Think about it. They're gonna get a nice package for Derrick Henry.
Oh yeah.
What
have enough capital.
What did they get for Derrick Henry?
So my buddy was talking yesterday. Me and my buddy Nathan. Shout out you if you're watching. We were talking about Derrick Henry might command like a second round pick.
He won't get a first rounder.
Well, he was trying to say first rounder, bro, but like I
1,000-yard rushing season, Nando.
28 years old, bro. 28 years old is my thing. Like he's gonna be going up for an extension again. Like, yes, if you can get him for 3 years and it's up till he's 31, but it's a tall ask for him to keep up that production for the next couple of years. You're gonna be paying a pretty penny for him.
100%.
It's the capital, and it's like, you think you get a first rounder, Stephen? Really talking about like a 30th overall, like a 31 overall?
Here's what I think. I think Derrick Henry commands a first and a fourth, or a first and a third. And then the other team would send, then the Tennessee Titans would send Derrick Henry along with a fifth, to compensate, to outweigh that. That's what I think it'll end up being, something of that neighborhood.
I could see it being tall, man. I mean, I don't know about a first and a third and like a fifth. I could see a first rounder though. Like I could definitely see that for the right team.
A straight up first round for Derrick Henry.
I wouldn't pay that. I'd feel even uncomfortable giving a second rounder.
So okay, you think a team's going to give a second and a fifth for him, or a straight up second round for him?
Yeah, I could see like a combination of that.
I think it's going to be a second and a late round pick, and and that I'll concede to them. Yeah, I agree. Look, he's 28 years old. I get that. He's still Derrick Henry though at the moment, and that counts for something. I'm just letting you know.
For sure, bro.
It counts.
I think we're talking about like a good second rounder, probably. Also, I'm not talking about like the 64th overall pick, like a decent second rounder, probably some late round compensation as well to seal the deal, Steven. But
I will not be surprised if he gets a first round pick. I just want to throw that out there. If a team thinks they're a running back away from winning it all, why wouldn't they say, here's a first rounder for Derrick Henry? I'm just saying.
If the running back class was worse this year, if the running back class wasn't that deep this year, I'd agree. That's another thing I was talking about.
So, side note, before we go to the rest of the teams, Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs off the board yesterday, both franchise tagged. So yesterday I had asked over under was 2 for running backs to get franchise tagged. They already hit 2 yesterday, the NFL.
Yeah, Pollard and Jacobs. Wow. Like, I guess the other option would be Saquon.
It'll be interesting to see what happens there with the quarterback, Daniel Jones, and what he's going to get paid. Side note, again, off topic, crazy that man is asking for $45 million a year.
45 million.
Insane.
I get the cap's increasing. I get that like the money's going up, but like contracts are getting ridiculous, Steven.
I said this yesterday on the show. I said, look, don't be surprised if 2 things happen over the next 2 years. Number one, backup quarterbacks are going to you're going to see some crazy numbers for backup quarterbacks over the next 2 years. 14 quarterbacks got hurt in the NFL last year. Okay.
14, baby.
14 starting quarterbacks got hurt in the NFL last year. So backup quarterbacks are going to start getting bigger contracts, I believe, over the next 2 years. And I also think, and this is kind of 2A and 2B, you'll start seeing 3 quarterbacks on rosters instead of 2. I think that'll be the norm. And I think that running backs' salaries, I said that, look, because of everything, but now that there's 2, I have to be perfectly honest, I'm very surprised that Josh Jacobs got tagged. Which, by the way, makes me think that they're trying to go after a quarterback there. And we'll get to Vegas in a minute. But look, and I don't think he's the last running back to get tagged. I think you're right. If they give 45 mil, if they give anywhere in the neighborhood to Daniel Jones, they're going to give Saquon a franchise tag and say, all right, we're going to give you 1 more year here.
Yeah, it sucks for running backs, man. Like they don't have that contract stability anymore. They're really just getting tagged and then tossed aside. So I feel for them. It's still one of the greatest positions in the NFL. And thankfully, there's still talented kids committing there, even though they know there's no contract stability. I'm like, look at us. I was literally disparaging Derrick Henry, even though he's just 28 years old. He's so young. But yeah,
an NFL year, that's not young for a running back.
Exactly, but that's not young.
Although we saw Adrian Peterson go to what, mid-30s?
Yeah, but he was sad at the end, bro. Like Commanders Peterson is a sad. That's like Wizards Jordan, bro. Like that was a little bit
like
sad.
Wizard Jordan.
Yeah, man.
Adrian Peterson Commanders was Wizard Jordan.
Oh, 1,000%, bro.
Wow.
It was a little rough, bro. Like, I guess it would have been cool if you're a Washington fan, but like,
sorry, they're saying he's 29 in the chat. I'm sorry. Whatever.
Oh, 29. Excuse me. Even worse. He's even older than.
Andravia said Josh Jacobs unfollowed the Raiders. He's unhappy with the tag. I think most running backs are. Nando, you just hit the nail on the head. Running backs are the least. They get the least amount of credibility in the NFL. They probably get what did you say? Tossed to the side. That's a very good. Yeah.
It's let's run you down, and we've seen it in the past. Like guys get into that contract year, and like instead teams would say, like, we're going to run you into the ground. We're going to squeeze out every single carry we can. And if you survive and ball out, maybe we'll reward you with the contract. If not, snip, snap, you're gone. We'll take in a new rookie in the 3rd or 4th round, and let's hope you get paid by some team. And then you'll get overpaid. You won't perform like you used to because you just came off like a 300 touch season. And then the new team's fans will be mad at you, and you'll get no love and respect. And that's the cycle of the running back. Or you're Derrick Henry and you're taking 30, 40 hits a game, just praying your body holds up. It's sad, Steven.
It's a Ricky Williams deal all over again for somebody like Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor's, I hope he bounces back for the Colts.
Yeah. All right. Let's get back on track. So we just finished up in Tennessee. So you think in-house, Tannehill obviously goes. And you think that, and by the way, you said for the Jets, when we started up there, you said Tannehill will be the Jets quarterback next year, which I think is hilarious.
That's why. Yeah.
So and they keep in-house with who's the guy there? Young quarterback?
Malik Willis.
And he'll be the starter.
Out of Liberty.
Okay. All right, then let's go further up north. Let's go to Green Bay. Who's the starting quarterback next year for Green Bay? Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love?
Ooh, I forgot about Jordan Love. So try as they might, I do think Aaron Rodgers is going to stay with Green Bay. It sounds like both parties will be unhappy with that decision, but the cost might be a little too high for Rodgers, especially when teams trying to tank. Not tank, but but like looking towards the draft already next year.
And this year, there's good quarterbacks in the draft.
Yeah, as I'm saying, like this is a good draft class coming up. The next year is pretty good too. Maybe teams don't want to give up 2 first-rounders for Aaron Rodgers. They're fine with the young guys they have. If they work, they work. If they don't, then they get better draft capital next year.
So the cost is too high for a team to go, and there's too much.
But
there's too many young good quarterbacks this year and next year.
Yeah, but Jordan Love could be on the move then, Steven. Like if Aaron Rodgers, I'll answer your question. If Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay, do you see a world where Jordan Love stays on the team as well? Or
they love Jordan Love. Everything I've heard, they love him. And by the way, he played well last year when he came in. I'll be honest with you. If you're asking me, I think the marriage of Aaron Rodgers and the Packers is a broken one. And I don't think both parties are happy with each other. But I think they just stay with each other because this is
for the kids.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We're going to stay together for the children. All right. That's the Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers relationship. But I think if you're asking me next year, who's the starting quarterback? I think Jordan Love's the starting quarterback there next year.
He should be.
I think Green Bay needs to get rid of him. Who cares if he goes to an NFC team? Just get rid of him. Get something for him. Get off the hook for his contract. You're going to have to eat some of his contract. Let me just throw that out there. But at the end of the day, they're going to it makes so much more sense for that franchise to give Jordan Love a shot and let's see what the kid has. Week in, week out.
Just let him walk. And like you can't just let him walk. You got to at least give him a shot and see what he can do. I don't think they're going to let Rodgers leave next year and then just give like Jordan Love an extension without having given him real work. That would just be ridiculous. So yeah, Steven, I think the best thing for them would be to let Rodgers leave, even if they do trade to an NFC team, and even if they are eating up his contract, even if they don't get maybe the trade package they're looking for. The best thing for the franchise might be to trade Rodgers for what you can get and let Jordan Love rock with it.
Hey, by the way, Jason Sarney, I just want to go back to Derrick Henry real quick for 1 second before we go on to the next team of who's starting in 2023. Okay. Jason Sarney said Derrick Henry last year, 1,249 rushing attempts in the last 4 years, 1,249 rushing attempts, 312 average those years, 349 last season. And he averaged 4.8 yards per carry at $16 million per year. Okay. Miami, and he'll cost 16 mil. Allegedly, he's going to get 16 mil next year. I'm sorry. Okay. Miami has not had a running back with 200 attempts in a season since Jay Ajayi did in 2016 with 260. Last year in 2022, the Mozart Wilson combined for 265 yards. Okay. The Chase Edmonds, I think, carries either that he had at the beginning of the year. Okay.
Let's go.
Averaged 4.8 yards per carry, cost $4 million. So they get the same yards per carry with the combination of Mozart and Wilson at $4 million than you would get with Derrick Henry at $16 million. Just want to throw that out there.
It's
I think that puts things in more perspective for me. Shout out to Jason Sarney in that tweet. That's a great tweet. That number is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, like you can definitely get great production for Henry. It's the cost thing. No, that's the unfortunate part of a running back. Like you can get production for similar price, I guess, but Henry's still Henry. I don't know.
100%. 100%.
Math is weird, Steven.
Math is definitely weird. All right, Miami Sports Music's
Great
number one
start,
Miami fan morning show. Hot Take Tuesday. Nando Talk, myself, Stephen D. We are in the middle of who's starting in 2023. So we've done pretty much the East Coast of the teams that are going to be there. We've reached out to the Midwest. Next year, Indianapolis Colts. Who is the starting quarterback next year for the Colts?
Starting quarterback for the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
What draft pick? I think they have the 3rd overall pick.
Correct.
Oh, okay, boom. I was going to Google that.
I think they're going to get a young quarterback, CJ Stroud, maybe, right? They'll get a
Kenny
young
Moore was talking about it. Like when
Huh?
they did the players only combine, he was
Mhm.
they asked him about QB, and I mean, like it's not like he knows anything, but he knows more than I guess we do. And he was talking about a young quarterback. He was like, "Yeah, like I'm ready for a rookie to come in. Like we've had veterans and veterans and veterans and veterans. It's time for like a younger dude." You know, and I agree. Like the Colts have tried for multiple years to put a Band-Aid and keep going for an older veteran dude to try to keep it cheap and like build other areas of the team, and it hasn't worked. It's time to invest in a good quarterback, bro. Invest in a good young dude. Put all your chips down and say, hey, we're going all in on CJ Stroud or Will Levis or whoever they end up going for at 3. And I guess we could talk rookie, like who you think the draft board shakes down, like who, Bryce Young, Will Levis. Like,
We can get into
your
that
guy,
later
Steven.
if you want.
Yeah, I was like, we can get later if you want to, but I do think that the Colts are going to go for whoever's there, whoever's the 2nd or 3rd best dude still available on the board.
I agree with you. I don't know what happens with Matt Ryan. That whole situation will be very interesting. It will be very interesting. I know Todd McShay's draft. I'm looking here that he did has Bryce Young to the Colts. I've heard Will Levi's name obviously thrown around. McShay in his projected ESPN mock draft has the Colts moving up from number 4 to number 1 by sending the Bears the number 4 overall pick and the number 35 overall pick in the 2nd round and a 5th pick, maybe even, and a 2024 first round selection. So they would, to move up 3 spots to the number 1 pick, they would trade this year's draft pick, which would be, they would get number 4. They'd get another first round draft pick, the Bears next year. And it looks like a 2nd round pick and even a 5th round. That's a lot of picks to move up 3 spots, bro.
Hey, man, we've seen the Bears have done it in the past, moving up. Like it's cost a pretty penny to get Mitch Trubisky. The Commanders, I think they slid up as well. It's expensive moving up even a couple spots, especially when it's that top premier. Teams will milk you out knowing you're going for a quarterback, Steven. So.
Well, the Bears do have the number 1 overall pick, and they are not in a market for a quarterback. They love Justin Fields. So it'll be interesting to see what the Bears do with the number 1 overall pick. But we'll get onto that a little bit later. So I agree with you. Colts will have a young quarterback from this year's draft, and he will probably start next year for. What do you think happens with Matt Ryan, by the way? Does Matt Ryan retire? Does he go play somewhere else? What happens with Matt Ryan?
I think he's cooked, bro. Like, he might want to go play somewhere else, and he might hang around till summer, till August, and then realized, like, it's not happening, and just call it quits, hang it up. But I didn't really see much in the tank last year to show me that Matt Ryan can still hang in the league. Matty Ice is melted, bro. It's sad.
Just want to throw this out there. By the way, I don't see the Colts moving up from 4 to 1 because there's 3 decent quarterbacks: Will Levis, CJ Stroud, and Will Levis. I think all 3 of them could be starting next year in the
Bryce
NFL.
Young, you said Will twice, I think.
Will Levis, Bryce Young, sorry, and CJ Stroud. So I think all 3 could potentially start next year in the NFL. So I don't see
it could be a possibility.
Way too much fall in love. Unless the Bears fall. You're right. If a team falls in love with somebody, but I think that's a lot when there's 3 potential starters on the board. You know.
Yeah. If I'm the GM, you got to look at the team first. At the end of the day, what you're looking for is a good quarterback, and if you think that there's 3 good prospects, you watch how the cookies crumble. You get your guy, and then you use the rest of your picks and the rest of your cap allotment to fill out the team so that good guy doesn't fail. Matt Ryan to the Jets would be hilarious.
Matt Ryan to the Jets. That's just as bad as Tannehill. So
that's worse, bro.
Tannehill will be. Matt Ryan's arm is shot. He struggled mightily on passes beyond 15 yards last season. I agree. I think he still wants to play, and I think he will probably be good enough to get on an NFL roster, but I think he'll be a backup somewhere next year. And
I think he's being a backup. Like a team drafts someone, and then they're like, Matt, you come be the backup for a bit.
You know where Matt Ryan would be good as a backup? Green Bay to Jordan Love.
Okay. Then you still get that veteran presence.
Still get the veteran presence and you basically say you want to play another year, you come here, we'll let you be the backup, we'll pay you league minimum or whatever. We'll pay him, they'll pay him whatever. Okay. And I don't think it'll be league minimum, but they'll pay him $2 or $3 million, maybe $4 million. And he'll get to be the backup there. And he'll get to the opportunity that if the kid isn't cutting it or the kid gets hurt, great. And if not, they have a mentor for Jordan Love on how things should be run in the NFL. I think that would be a good place for Matt Ryan. Green Bay next year, backup quarterback to Jordan Love.
I like that. It's not expensive. It would still allow them to have that veteran steady presence that they've had in the locker room forever, because they've always had like a good steady hand there since Favre, since Rodgers, and now it's like Jordan Love. It'd be your time to shine, but you still got a player coach almost, and little Ryan coaching him up. I like that, man.
Yeah, and another place I could see Matt Ryan go to is the Jets.
I want that so bad now, Steven. I want to be able to go to.
I know it sounds so biased coming from us because we put all the crappy quarterbacks to the Jets so far. Okay, Tannehill. We have Tannehill going to the Jets. We have Matt Ryan going to the Jets.
Of course, bro. They just lost out on Derek Carr, man. Like, I don't see them being a prime. Just like if Derek Carr says you don't have a winning culture, Derek Carr is a loser. Like, I love Derek Carr. He's like 60 and 80. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy comes in and says like, you guys can't win. That like, oh my god, bro. That would have been like if Stafford, coming from the Lions before he went to the Rams, had tried to go to the Jets and was like, you guys can't win. Get out of here, bro. It's like you're a Lions player. You're a Raiders player. You guys are losers. You're telling the Jets off. I love it, bro. Let them have Matt Ryan Tannehill.
Cap for Life says, I like how you guys are trying to give the Jets a crappy backup quarterback. No, we think he'll start there. Just so you know, we're not even saying backup.
Yeah, he'll start. He's better.
But in some way, I feel like you guys are hoping for our backup quarterback situation to end up the same way for some sick, twisted reason. We'll get into the Dolphins here in a little bit.
I think Matt Ryan or Tannehill would start for the Jets, not being a backup quarterback. That's why we think it's funny, you know, like because they're 100%. Aiming for these high-end starters, and they'd end up with the bottom tier, the leftovers, because that's what New York has happened every offseason, unless they overpay for dudes. And if they overpay for Jimmy G, I'm down for it. Like if they pay $40 million for Jimmy Garoppolo, or if Daniel Jones walks and they give him $50 million, Steven. Oof.
Well, Daniel Jones isn't going to walk, but
Yeah, I know.
they'll pay him. Giants like Daniel Jones. But
yeah, they like that. They like Danny.
Real quick, let's go down south a little bit before we go to the West Coast. I know, and here's the thing, and I know this isn't the team because Saints just signed Derek Carr. But the question about the Saints is what happens with Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton? Where do those two guys end up next year?
Freshen me up. Are they under contract or are they?
I think they're both under contract.
Got you. Wow, that's interesting. Then they have Carr.
Actually, I think Dalton will be a free agent if I'm correct, and I know Winston's under contract.
So Winston is someone you could trade to. I mean, again,
I've heard his name getting released. Where do you think he would end up if he gets released? I don't think he'll be a trade partner personally. A
reunion in Tampa seems a little weird, almost, but they could use a quarterback. I hate to keep picking on the Jets, but that'd be like an upside option if you miss out on the top guys, like
Jameis Winston to the Jets.
That could be an option there. We haven't talked about the Panthers, maybe the Commanders.
No, we totally skipped over the Panthers. Sorry about that. Yeah. We'll go back to the Panthers. Actually, let's go to the Panthers now. Who's the starting quarterback next year for the Carolina?
Well, if Winston's released, I could see him hitting the East Coast, maybe going to the Panthers, maybe to the Commanders,
or Atlanta.
Or Atlanta. The thing with Atlanta only for me is that they have like Desmond Ridder. Like the Panthers have Matt Corral, also from last year's draft, but he's coming back from like a knee injury, I think. And besides him, they have like Darnold. Winston could actually start there, or at least push for a job.
Where
Atlanta, he could as well.
In Carolina. In Carolina, okay.
Atlanta, I guess he could too, Steven. But like, I think they if they like Ridder, they'll let him get the option more. Second round pick is a big investment.
Desmond Ridder starts next year in Atlanta, but I think it would behoove them to go get Jameis Winston and him to be the backup in Atlanta next year. I think that'd be a good pick for Atlanta to have a guy like Jameis mentor Desmond, and if Desmond doesn't work out, it'd be very interesting to see. I'm interested as far as the Panthers are concerned next year. I just feel like they're one of those teams that are. Where are they at in the draft?
I was about to ask you the same question. Because Matt Corral, Sam Darnold, I think is their quarterback room right now. It doesn't really inspire the most confidence. I like Matt Corral.
They're the fourth. They're fourth. They're gonna get. Oh no! This is a mock draft. This is somebody's mock draft. They're number 9. They're number 9.
Yeah, that's what Noob just said too.
If there is a quarterback there, I could see them jumping up 2-4. That makes sense. That's a team that I could see jumping up in the top 5.
I could see them jumping
Carolina Panthers jumping into the top 5 from 9 all day. All day, I could see that trade.
I could see them
next year. The starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers will be a rookie quarterback from this year's draft. That is
that's your hot take?
That's my hot take. Hot take Tuesday.
Brother, I'll go hotter, baby. You know, they will have a rookie quarterback. They're either going to be trading up, which is actually a pretty hot take, but they could sign Jameis Winston and then go Anthony Richardson and say, bada bing, bada bang, you want to be a top 10 quarterback, Mr. AR-15? Let's go 9th overall to Carolina. Sit a little bit, study behind the great Jameis Winston, and let it fly, man. That'd be a fun time.
Anthony Richardson from Florida had 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions last year.
They had Cam Newton in the past. You know, they could be bringing bigger, faster, stronger Cam Newton and Anthony Richardson.
You're not. Hey, look, man, it'll be interesting to see. I'll say Carolina gets into the top 5, though. They trade into the top 5 in the draft to go get a good young rookie quarterback. I'll say that. And we think Jameis Winston will end up somewhere on the East Coast. More likely, I think the best fit for him would be Atlanta, but I could see him going to Carolina. I think that those two places would fit. I don't see him going to the Commanders, because that just doesn't sound like a Riverboat Ron quarterback.
You're gonna say it doesn't sound like a Dan Snyder.
It doesn't sound like a Dan Snyder quarterback for many reasons. So I'm gonna go Jameis Winston in Atlanta or Carolina. Outside chance the Jets. Andy Dalton will be the backup next year to and they got Ian Book too, I still think. Don't they still have Ian Book there?
Yeah. Throw the book at him.
So yeah, I don't know. That'll be and obviously Carr will start. So all right, let's go a little bit more out west.
Oh no, Ian Book's on the Eagles, bro.
Oh, that's right, he is on the Eagles.
I didn't know that.
I don't know, but Carr
last year,
will be there. Jameis will get released and he'll end up on the East Coast. All right, let's go out west. We'll start. What's closer, Denver or Vegas? Denver. We'll go Denver first.
Denver's, yeah.
Who's the starting quarterback next year for the Denver Broncos?
Russell Wilson, bro. I know Sean Payton's mad, but they're too invested in Russ, I think, right now. Unless you were able to convince the Jets, like if Nathaniel Hackett's there and saying, like, hey man, that Russell dude he's not bad. I'm just dumb. We can make it work. We can figure it out.
All right. Here's a hot take. Russell Wilson will start the year for the Denver Broncos, but will get benched due to poor performance, and a veteran quarterback will end up being there. And I could see somebody like Matt Ryan. I could see a veteran going there to back up. Actually, you know what? I don't think they would trade one veteran for a veteran. It'll be a young quarterback. It'll be a young quarterback that they go after. Now, it won't be somebody in the draft unless it's like they're reaching on somebody that's in the mid draft, one of those quarterbacks, and they'll be a backup. So, I think at the end of the day, it'll be Russell Wilson will get benched next year because of bad play at some point in the year. And I don't see that relationship working out with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. I think it's destined to fail.
My friend, nothing would make me happier than to see the man who gifted Tom Brady a ring continue to have misery and sadness in his life. And so let's go.
He still has Sierra as his wife. He's still winning out here in these streets.
Oh, man. That's what I'm saying. Boo-hoo for him.
He's still out here winning in these streets. Okay? Let me just throw that out there. All right?
Winning in the streets, winning everywhere, bro.
Except on the field. Except on the field.
That's the one place where I can take joy away from Russ.
So Russell will play next year for the Denver Broncos, but my hot take is he'll get benched due to poor play. All right, let's go to Vegas. Who's the starting quarterback for the Vegas Raiders next year?
You've got me sold on that Jimmy G to the Raiders idea. I mean, like you planted the seed there, Steven, and McDaniel can sell that. He can sell that with Jimmy G. Say, like, I know this man. Like I coached with him in New England. Like, I've got a bit of familiarity. You bring him to Las Vegas. Jimmy, it's not too far of a move for you. You're just moving like a state over, and you come over to Las Vegas, a good life, and it's a good time there. I don't know how much success they'll have, but I could see a little marriage, a little union happening there, Steven. A little Jimmy G to the Las Vegas Raiders.
All right. The Raiders are just a very interesting thing. Obviously they have Josh McDaniels there. Mark Davis is such a wild card, right? As an owner, just like his dad, right? And I mean, I don't know if he's as crazy as his dad was, but at the end of the day, he still is a wild card and he still wants to put a winning product in Vegas. I can see, obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo going there. I think it's not outside to think that. But I want to go in another direction.
Ooh.
I'm going to go that Aaron Rodgers ends up in Vegas.
Yes. I could 1,000% see that. If Rodgers does move, I would say, Steve, that's probably the place for him to go to. It's the splashy Las Vegas move to go for. They've shown willingness to make big
It's
trades.
reunited with Devontae Adams.
And that's the big key, bro. Because if not, I do think Devontae Adams is in a situation where he's kind of disgruntled with the organization. It was, yo, you brought me here I left one friend to come play with another friend, and then you kicked out my buddy. Okay, now you don't have Derek Carr there, so what's keeping Adams there? Well, you bring Aaron Rodgers in. And Steven, that's 1,000%. I can see that happening.
Hot take. Aaron Rodgers ends up as a Vegas Raider this offseason.
Dude, that honestly, wow, that's awesome. And if that division, like if Russell Wilson and honestly Rodgers too, if they round back into form, then the AFC West, their quarterbacks are disgusting. You'd have Russell Wilson would be the worst quarterback in the division. And that's crazy to say.
I know. Absolutely insane. Yeah, I'm gonna say Vegas ends up with Aaron Rodgers. That's what I think.
I love that. I love that.
Next year, who is the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers? Is Trey Lance the starting quarterback, or is Brock Purdy the starting quarterback next year?
So I think
where does Jimmy G end up ultimately?
Yeah. Jimmy G, I don't think you're going to convince him to come back for another year to be a backup, because they did it once. Like, he's shown willingness to be a backup, but with the market as it is this time, him being the best option available, like I could see him getting paid somewhere and leaving San Francisco. And
you think he ultimately ends up in Vegas? I think that's
Vegas or the Jets, man. Honestly, like if they pay the bag for him, like I could see that happening. Especially if in this world the Raiders get Rodgers, then I see Jimmy G going to the Jets. It's big money. Or to the Commanders, like we were saying.
So Brock Purdy's going to be hurt at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, he's going to be hurt. So I think they're going to roll with Trey Lance, man. Like it's like I don't know how his injury is. I know he's also coming back from an injury, but if he's healthy and good to go, yeah, Steven, they're going to rock with Trey Lance. Like if the logic would be like if Brock Purdy, we were able to squeeze out this production, I'm still licking my chops if I'm Kyle Shanahan at what Trey Lance could possibly do. Former 3rd overall pick, you know.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Trey Lance will start the year, but when Brock Purdy comes back, if Trey Lance is playing mid or below, it'll be Brock Purdy's job, in my opinion. Which is crazy to think about. A number 3 overall pick getting benched for Mr. Irrelevant would be insane to think about.
Brock Purdy's got whether it's fortunate or unfortunate for others, but he got the chance to play, and he got a chance to prove that he can play.
He did great.
Exactly. At the very least, he proved that he can work for San Francisco.
If he had won, I don't know if they would have beat Philly, but it would have been a much closer game than what it was.
Much closer game. It would have been competitive. It would have been a fun game, man. Honestly, like
the NFC Championship game would have been 10 times better. All right, let's go up the road or down the road. I don't know if it's up or down. L.A. San Francisco's north. L.A. We're going down. We're going down the West Coast.
I don't know my California.
And let's go to the Rams. What's the deal with Stafford? Does Stafford, I think he tries to come back from this injury. And what happens with Baker Mayfield?
So Baker Mayfield, someone brought a great one. Maybe Mayfield to the Jets would be cool too, even though I've paired every single quarterback for them. If Stafford retires, I could see the Rams rocking with Mayfield. That'd be cool. I think that he showed a little swagger.
Retire. I just want to throw that out there.
Got you.
I don't think Stafford will retire this year.
Well, if there's a plan, if he's like, hey guys, like honestly, I got a year left in me. Like that's all my back's got. That's all my neck can give. Then maybe they say, hey Mayfield, can you stay around a year? You want to give us a shot?
So I think Baker will explore other options. But this is part of the reason that I said backup quarterbacks in the NFL's numbers, salaries will go up significantly this offseason. And Baker Mayfield's one of the reasons why. Because I could totally see Stafford saying, you know what? I'd rather take the backup job in LA if Stafford isn't truly ready to come back or he's not 100%, and be with the winning organization like LA. Obviously, still coming off a Super Bowl win. Now they're interesting too what they're doing because they just released the linebacking the linebacker there. I mean they could easily
Bobby
be
Wagner.
cleaning. Yep, they could be and Jalen Ramsey's allegedly on the market. So I mean, look, if they're cleaning house, Baker doesn't stay. If they are not cleaning house and they're still trying to be competitive, Baker stays as the backup. But Baker's one of those reasons why, and Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston, some of these veteran, I just see that teams are going to highly invest in backup quarterbacks, and I totally 100% believe it'll be a normal thing to see 3 quarterbacks on a roster now this NFL season over just 2. Just with all the injuries that happened last year for quarterbacks.
I agree, man. With all these like veterans hitting the market, it's almost like I know people have complained that we don't have like a bunch of top tier elite quarterbacks anymore in the NFL. Like, I don't know, there's not that Rodgers, Manning, Brady, Breeze, Roethlisberger, Rivers dynamic anymore, But at the same time, like I feel like there's a bunch of like middle tier quarterbacks, like guys who you should invest heavily in those backups because like if you can have a Baker Mayfield, a Jameis Winston as your backup, guys who have had a bunch of starts in the NFL, who have had big wins, who have had big losses, but who have experience, then yeah, Steven, again, starting quarterback is the most important position in all sports. 14 starting quarterbacks went down. So backup quarterback is one of the most important positions as well. Like it's arguably the most important backup position in all of sports, besides like maybe a backup goalie in hockey and soccer. Besides that, then yeah, like your backup QB is top tier backup position. And if you can invest in it, maybe not, I'm not saying throw the bag at them, but a good contract, good money.
Look, yeah. I 100% think backup quarterback salaries are going to significantly go up over the next 2 years. All right, 1,000%. Let's fly back to the East Coast real quick, and then we'll talk more Dolphin stuff. Well, I guess we'll get into a little bit of the draft. Just real quick, I'm going to touch the draft a lot on Friday with Jason Sarney. We're going to get into a lot of draft talk on Friday with Jason. But to discuss the Dolphins and free agency and kind of where we think we'll end up. But the last thing I want to discuss when it comes to quarterbacks in the NFL is Lamar Jackson. What happens with the Lamar Jackson situation? Because I think it'll be a good segue into obviously talking about the Dolphins.
Lamar.
And ultimately, who is the starting quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens next year?
Lamar Jackson, I think, is going to be their starter. From what I'm talking about, my buddy Kisley, you're definitely not watching. But when I talk to my Baltimore buddy, he doesn't want Lamar to come back, but he thinks it's just going to happen. They're just going to stay together. They're talking tag now. I don't think he's going to have the non-exclusive tag, Steven. I think he's going to get franchise tagged, and they'll both be very unhappy, but they'll play it out. Lamar's asking for all this guaranteed money. Eventually, one side's going to have to break, but I think that they're at a big standstill. And I don't know if someone's going to trade for that because it's, again, then you are going to be the one paying all that guaranteed money. I don't know if any other teams are willing to set that precedent as well. So it looks like the ball is not at either one's court. It's firmly in the middle. And a franchise tag seems to be the most, I guess, available situation. And then they'll probably keep Lamar for a year. And then who knows, bro? But I think Lamar Jackson will be the Baltimore Ravens quarterback for this year.
When it comes to the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson, I think both sides, we talk about, the marriage that is a quarterback in the franchise. And we laughed about, Rodgers and Green Bay staying together for the sake of the sake of the kids. I think it's a very similar situation in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar, at the end of the day, I think wants to ultimately stay in Baltimore, but he wants to get paid what he believes he deserves. And the guaranteed money is a very big, important thing. And look, he's a former quarterback MVP of this league. He should
deserves
get paid.
money.
He deserves to get, the bag from the standpoint of that, right? Steve Bisciotti and the Baltimore Ravens have never been one to pay these ultimately lucrative, crazy contracts to anybody. And by the way, that includes Ray Lewis and Ed Reed back in the day. That's always been, they'll get paid they're not cheap by any stretch of the imagination, right? They get paid what they deserve, but they've never been like position-wise, you're going to get paid the top contract or you're going to get paid this. And so I think that's kind of where the problem is, and it lies, is the mentality of the Ravens since their inception. And obviously since Steve Bisciotti's taken over the team and Ozzie Newsome is still there and Eric DeCosta, the GM. I think the Lamar Jackson situation is I think there's two ways this plays out. There's three ways. A, they come up with a deal. Now, they've been talking. Allegedly, Steve Bisciotti flew down to talk with Lamar. Lamar represents himself. So, Lamar, that's interesting, right?
Yeah.
So, Lamar, I think at the end of the day, will say, look, this is what I want to play. But the Ravens have it in their cards to say, we'll franchise tag you. Now, we talked about all these teams, okay? They talk about all. Jonathan Dill says, the Ravens are not going to pay a king's ransom. They will put the non-exclusive tag on him to see how the market is dictated. If a team wants him, they will have to give up 2 first-round picks. I believe that. That's what I was about to get to. I'm glad you put that, Jonathan.
The Baltimore can match.
We talked about all these teams: Washington, New York, Carolina, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Tennessee, Vegas, dark horse. Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay and doesn't go to Vegas, which, by the way, I think ends up. But you don't think Vegas would consider, we can go get Lamar Jackson, a former, and that would sell tickets in Vegas.
It really would, man. And if they do the tag, I don't know how it works exactly with the matching. Like, I don't know if it's like a forced match. You know what I'm saying? Like, if like the Ravens match, they get to keep Lamar. But I could see the Raiders making that. That's a big move that sells tickets. You
100%.
Like, what better way to fix the wound that some Raiders fans must be feeling after the car situation and saying, we know
I'm not ready to put
the car.
I'm not ready to put a hot take on it. I just want to throw that out there. I didn't want you to get ahead of yourself. I'm not ready to put a hot take on that. But why not?
It's a nice thread to go down.
Why not one of those teams? If we're saying that they're going to go, they're willing to trade up into the top 5, why wouldn't they consider? Look, I think when it's all said and done, there's no way he ends up with the Dolphins. Just want to throw that out there. Lamar Jackson will never be a Miami Dolphin in the near future, as far as I'm concerned. Just will not happen. And actually, there. You know what? I retract that. I'll say this: if they put the tag on him, and both parties are pissed off, and he plays out the rest of this coming up season, and Tua fails this season coming up, I could see a world where Lamar does go to Miami the following year, but not this offseason. No way that it happens. Kevin Lee says Lamar won't be with Baltimore this season. I don't see it, honestly. He even has a slim chance of coming to Miami somehow. Never say never. Teams make it happen if a team wants someone bad enough. I think there are too many. Thank you for the $10 donation, Kevin Lee. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. If you guys want to donate to the channel like Kevin did, you guys can hit the YouTube live super chat or Cash App or PayPal. The link is in the description below. And I'll actually post it and put it up here. Yeah, man. Look, I think that never say never. That's fine. But I'm going to say almost never with Miami this year. I just don't see that happening. I understand that he loves Miami. He lives in Miami. He's a Miami-born guy. He would love to play here. But, look, the reality is, and this is kind of where we transition to the Dolphins. By the way, I'll let me just finish saying Lamar, I think is either going to stay on a franchise tag. I don't think they pay him what he wants, or some team will pay up to go get him, because there's a lot of teams that are interested in him, or that are interested in a quarterback. And, 2 first-round draft picks for a former NFL MVP quarterback, only 1 year or 2 years removed from it. 2 years removed, I think. Maybe 3. But still, I mean, he's still young. He's still a good quarterback when he's healthy.
Well,
So
if you're willing to pay for Aaron Rodgers, you should be willing to pay for Lamar Jackson. Younger, extremely talented, former MVP.
As Dolphin fans, I would say if you are a Lamar person and you love Lamar, this is you're unless the Dolphins go out and do it this offseason, which, by the way, I don't think has even a remote chance of happening. I think that, Lamar, your goal should be Lamar gets franchise tag for 1 year, stays in Baltimore, and next offseason, depending on what the Tua situation is, then it'll be better for Miami to go out and get him at that point, because then we can justify it at that point. Just want to throw that out to the fans.
Yeah, if that's what you want, then that's what you should be rooting for. Like, for Lamar to stay for another year on the tag.
All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. It is Hot Take Tuesday. It's Nando Talk, myself, Stephen D. Let's get into the last team of who will be the starting quarterback next year. The Miami Dolphins. Who will be the starting quarterback next year for the Miami Dolphins? Nando Talk.
It's Tua time year 4, Mr. Steven. I might have to flip the jersey if they get mad, but I think that is the guy. I think we do bring in a quarterback, of course, to make some competition, whether it's Baker Mayfield, Heineke, the Minshews of the world, whether we've talked about in the past, somehow Jimmy G ends up, even though I think there's a starting market now for him. Maybe a Winston, something like that. I don't know, Steven. I think we're going to make a move at QB, but not. I think Tua's going to end up being the starting quarterback.
Who's the number 2 next year here, Nando?
Depending on who we bring in to compete, I think they'll push both our quarterbacks, Tua and Skyler. And then when Tua wins the starting job in this world of mine, then they'll obviously have to push with Skyler. And I think if we get in a moxie guy, like an upside, a young guy, I think they might beat out Skyler Thompson. If we get a veteran, I think they might be like the 2 on paper, but Skyler Thompson would still be viable. I do agree with you, though, that 3 quarterbacks are going to be on the roster.
Yeah, 3 quarterbacks will most definitely be on the roster next year for the Miami Dolphins. There's a few names that I think fit decently here as the backup ensues, or depending on where we are. We've already publicly stated last week at the Combine that the Dolphins will go after a backup quarterback in free agency. I think there's a few names that, look, everybody already knows. Like, I think there is a timeline, an alternate timeline, where Jimmy G comes to the Dolphins as the backup. I believe that it can happen. People think I'm crazy. That's fine. I think there's a world that happens, but I agree there's a starting market for him, and he's going to get offered a lot more money somewhere else. But I just think $15 million 1 year, guaranteed 12. I mean, I would say fully guaranteed. Just give him the $15 million. Let him come here, be the backup.
Let him cook.
Let him cook when Tua goes down. I'm all for it. That's what I would want. What I think is probably going to happen, I think there's a few names. I'm interested to see the Baker Mayfield situation and how that ends up, and where he goes with there. I think he'd be a decent fit here. Jameis Winston is somebody else that I think would be a good backup here. He throws a lot of interceptions, but he throws touchdowns too. And I would love to see him fly with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And it would be fun to kind of, I think it'd be interesting to see him here. Marcus Mariota is somebody else that can run the same type of offense as Tua. And so he's a very similar quarterback from that standpoint. I think that, by the way, Kevin Lee with a $20 donation. Thank you, Kevin. I don't know, Ross in the past. I want to read this. Appreciate it. Ross in the past
Legend
wants Lamar badly and has tried to get rid of Tua a few times for Brady and Watson. Even Mike is saying anything is better for the team. I think they are being sneaky and something is going to go down. What do you think about that?
Hey, man, if they make a big-time move, I love Tua. I'm a Dolphins fan first and foremost, though, Mr. Steven. If we bring in a Lamar, if we bring in a Rodgers, I'm riding for it. I hope the cost wouldn't be too high. Like, I hope if we're being sneaky correctly, and we're not, throwing 5 first-rounders for a dude. We'll say, hey, we're preparing for the non-exclusive tag, and we'll be the first people to send 2 first-rounders, and even something like that, Steven. I could get behind it. I could get behind a move as long as it's sneaky done correct.
Look, I'll say this. I think it behooves the Dolphins to keep Tua one more year. I think it's their best play. I think it puts them in the best position to succeed this year and next year, because if Tua does succeed this year, great. We go deep into the playoffs. Amazing. We got our quarterback for the future. We're good to go, right? If Tua fails this year, we still have our first round picks the following years. And we can, and I think the quarterback draft class next year is just as deep and just as good. And there's obviously Caleb Williams, which I know would look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I see a team, whoever has the number 1 pick next year, saying either give us 4 or 5 first round. And I'm not exaggerating. I think 4 first round draft picks to go get Caleb Williams. But I think he's that good. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm in love with Caleb. I think I've said this multiple times. People that watch the show know I'm in love with Caleb Williams. I think
the USC stud, man. He's so good.
He's crazy good. But yeah, so I mean, just in general, I don't think that. Now, I agree with the statement that Ross has tried to get rid of Tua a few times and tried to upgrade. I do understand that. But I think it's in the Dolphins' best interest for Tua to be the starter here next year.
I agree.
As far as backup, let me get back to the backup here. When it comes to the backup situation, Gardner Minshew's another name, right? So Jameis Winston, Gardner Minshew, Marcus Mariota. I don't see a veteran like Matt Ryan coming here.
Yeah.
Nor would I want Matt. I don't want Tannehill. And I don't think Tannehill would come here, but I don't want him. Just want to state that for the record.
For the record.
And Baker Mayfield's another guy, And I think it would be easy to get one of those 4 or 5 to come here to be the backup in Miami over being or competing for a starting position in Carolina, Washington, Atlanta, Nashville, Indianapolis. I think some of those places teams would rather go be the backup in Miami. I think players would rather go a backup in Miami. And I just think one of those guys are going to say, I'm going to get a chance because Tua is going to get hurt. And the track record shows that. And I want to go play in Miami. And it's great weather. There's no state taxes. It just makes sense to me. The Dolphins will have they will have their fair share of who they want as backup next year, I think. And I think the draft is going to have a lot to do with who goes where. So I don't think we're going to see the Garoppolo thing I think will happen here soon. The Aaron Rodgers thing I think will happen soon. But I don't see veterans making a decision till after the draft, because some of these teams need to know who their starting quarterbacks, if they go out and get a young guy in the draft, who their quarterback's going to be next year. So I don't think we'll see a lot of quarterback moves till after the draft. So I mean, that's what I think about that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the draft is going to determine a lot of it. Like, a lot of guys will obviously, if a QB starts to slide, then hey, boom, you're good to go and ready. And if you got Anthony Richardson, maybe you're not making a big move. Guys like the Winstons, the Daltons, they'll probably hold off a little bit. And then once that move is cleared off, then yeah, the Dolphins will see what backups are still available. Well, they'll see if Gardner Minshew wants to sign. They'll see if Mayfield has done a decision. Like those little things, Steven. I don't know. I want like a backup. I don't know if we're going to get him in the first round of free agency though, because we still have to decide also the fifth year option for Tua as well. There's question marks about QB are going to happen for the next month, Steven, and it's going to be annoying.
Kevin Lee says, especially with Ross, who wants to win now and wouldn't be surprised if he sits down with Greer and Mike and says, make it happen for Lamar, especially if Miami finds a way to get a first round, to get a first rounder. Watch. Let's get out of the quarterback discussion. Does Miami move up into the first round of this year's draft?
I don't know about move all the way up to the first round. I do think we can move up in the second, Steven. It's a very good draft. There's a lot of good prospects coming in, particularly at running back. I think Dana Jeremiah said there's 13 guys with a third round grade or higher, which means running backs are going to be falling. Talent's going to be dropping on the board. Linebackers not as deep. Tight end is a little bit deeper. Cornerback is extremely deep. So we're going to see good dudes falling. And if there's a name that starts to slip that we like, the Dolphins, we don't have the most capital, but we could make a move up. We could say, hey, here's our second rounder and Cedric Wilson. How far up will this get us? I could see us trying for a move to get to the first round. If someone at 30 is there, the Dolphins could be one of those teams that every year you see teams going to 30, 31, and 32. Well, there's no 32 this year, but 29, 30, and 31 are always for sale. The last 3 picks in the first round, always. We can move up, Steven. Anyone that catches your eye?
No, not off the top of my head. Daniel Oyefusi tweeted this morning, the Dolphins are now $17.7 million over the cap per OTC. Easiest way to free room is restructure Tyreek Hill at $18.9 million and Chubb at $14.7. And I think there's obviously still a lot of other guys who will restructure too. And I'll say this, when it comes to Chris Greer, he's going to have a busy few weeks with the draft, restructuring contracts, trades. He will be one of the busiest guys in football, Chris Greer, over the next few weeks, because he's there's so many things that have to come for the Dolphins. And I think it starts with restructuring guys' contracts first to get the money there. As far as, do I think that the Dolphins move up into the first round? No, I don't. I don't see a world where that happens. There's nobody that's really there that catches my eye. What I will say is this. I think that the Dolphins, if they like somebody, have been known, Greer's been known to trade up into the second round or trade. So I think you're 100% spot on. Hot take of the day. Dolphins trade up in the second round to go get a guy that they like in that 32, 33, 34 pick. I 100% could see that. And look, it's I guess it's what is our first pick? Number 30?
No, we got like 51, 52.
51 is our first pick?
Yeah, I think it's 52, but some people said 51. I didn't do the math after we lost our first rounder, how that changes the draft. So it's like the 20th or 21st pick in the second round.
So if it's the 51 pick, I don't necessarily seeing us move up to the end of the first round. But I 100% could see if Chris Greer loves, or Vic Fangio, better yet, Vic Fangio loves a guy on defense in the second round, 100% could see us moving up to the top of the second.
If someone like Trenton Simpson, who tested phenomenal at the combine, I think he ran like a 4.39, or a low 4.4 for a linebacker, is crazy. If he starts to slip a little bit, or maybe if we see that Campbell's about to get taken, or we're about to not get a linebacker, I could see Fangio saying, "Yo, Greer, wake up, bro, Sleepy Greer, get on to it. It's time to get me a nice defensive stud," and we could trade up, Steven. Or if a good offensive lineman that was supposed to be on the first round slipped a little bit, maybe, hey, we go.
Where does Iowa Jack Campbell end up, the linebacker?
Campbell is I've been mocking him to get for us to get him, but he's going up board, Steven, because his big concern was his speed.
He's
He ran
getting
a
very
4.65.
popular. Very popular.
Ran a 4.65, upper 97th percentile athleticism. Like Campbell's is going to be good. Like I'm hoping he's at 52 now. Like there's a chance that he keeps rising up boards and maybe he goes in the 40s now. So that's a kind of guy who, like, if Trenton Simpson gets taken and they're like, crap, there's still 9 picks left. Jack Campbell's the last linebacker on the board. Dane Henley's gone too. Campbell's the only guy left. Yo, Greer, move me up 5 picks. We got to get this guy. I don't want to miss out on him. I do not want to miss out on Jack Campbell.
Garrett Williams from Syracuse, one of your boys from Syracuse, man.
Yeah, dude.
Corner, secondary. I think, the Dolphins have a very good track record of going after young secondaries, young corners. I could totally see somebody like Garrett Williams from Syracuse being a guy in the third round, maybe even fourth if he's there, but third round definitely. What do you think about? What do you know about Garrett, and what do you like about him?
So I really like Garrett Williams. He's one of the top talented corners. He'd be going a lot higher. The thing is, he tore his ACL against Notre Dame, Steven. So he's very good. He's got the skills, more of a man coverage corner, but I'm sure he could play some zone too. It's just what he was asked to do at Syracuse. But the point is, I was seeing him at first at the second round, but now at the combine, he didn't perform. Obviously, he's still coming back from that injury, so he's slipping. And if he's in the third round, I would love him at 77 or 84. If he's there in the fourth round, I could see us maybe even trading back up to him and saying, if we haven't got a corner yet, saying, yo, let's get this dude. He's got the talent, he's got the skills, and Greer does like taking the chance on the injury players. So I like Garrett Williams. I think he's very talented. Some people would knock it because he's coming back from an ACL injury, but I think talent trumps it. It's very good dude.
Is there a wide receiver or running back that you could see the Dolphins going to get in the second or third round? Where do you think the Dolphins go in the second or third round, ultimately position-wise? And is there any possibility that you could see them going after running back or a wide receiver?
So second round, I want them to go like linebacker or tight end. Like Campbell or Darnell Washington would be my little post-it note, draft day style. But if Jahmyr Gibbs, that's the guy who I was thinking of, he starts to slip, man. Bijan Robinson, I'm sure that is the best running back in the class. He's one of the best prospects we've seen in years. But Jahmyr Gibbs is not that far behind. Like if Bijan Robinson wasn't here, Jahmyr Gibbs is the clear-cut number 1 best running back in this class out of Alabama. Such good hands. He's such a great running back, such a great athlete in general, so fluid. And he's going to be a stud for years to come. Like his comparison is Alvin Kamara.
He's a Bama running back too.
Yeah, he's a Bama guy. Like if he starts to slip,
Bama running backs have a good track record in the NFL, sir.
That's what I'm saying. Like he knows how to run. Like he knows football. He's a good player. And if he starts to fall a little bit, like if he's there 39, 40, dude, I want to trade up. Like that's a stud. That's a stud in the wings right there, Steven. And he can make magic wonders. Like pairing him up with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle would give Tua the absolute toys. It'd give anyone the toys to work with for years to come. Barring Jahmyr Gibbs, though, like I'm cool to wait for running back because that's how good the class is. Like you can get someone in the 6th round, even Steven, like Keaton Mitchell, like Eric Gray out of Oklahoma. Keaton Mitchell had a 4.37, like the 3rd fastest running back in the class at East Carolina University. There's some good dudes in this class, Steven. So it's, I don't know, 13 running backs with a 3rd round grade or higher.
I know. And so that's why I'm asking, is there a possibility that a running back do they go running back?
Gibbs.
You're right. If Jahmyr Gibbs is there, I think 100% you have to go after him because track record shows Bama running backs have a very good track record in the NFL. He's got great athleticism. There's a lot to love about the kid, right? SEC, the list goes on and on. I think he's going to be a really good running back in the NFL, and I would love to have somebody like Jahmyr Gibbs be there. The other thing that I wanted to go to was all the way, let's go out to the West Coast at Oregon. The Dolphins have a really good track record of drafting or getting undrafted free agents or, picking from Oregon. Well, Penei Sewell's brother is there, Noah, linebacker out of Oregon. What do you think about Noah Sewell? And, is it possible the Dolphins could go after somebody like him?
If we miss out on Jack Campbell, like in the second round, Noah Sewell is one of my top options in the third round. Dude, he was originally like a hovering in the hundreds, like in the fourth round, but his combine, he did very well. He showed out. So he's shooting up boards, man. If we miss out on Campbell and we go another route at pick 52, let's say we do end up trading for like Jahmyr Gibbs. Now we still need a linebacker. I'm totally loving Noah Sewell. Like, he's getting a little bit more love because of his brother, but he's still a good linebacker, man. Like, that's a good dude out of Oregon.
Oregon's defense is one of the best in all of college football.
Very fast, athletic, man.
I know. Yeah. It's so good. And, I think there are some really good players that are there. Noah Sewell, to me, here's the thing. Let's compare somebody like Noah to Channing Tindall. Who's the better prospect? Was Tindall the better prospect, or was Noah Sewell the better prospect? Or are they similar?
I would say similar. Tindall might be like more of an athletic player. Mm-hmm. The thing is, I have to look more into Sewell. Sewell started, and I know Tindall never started a game at Georgia. For better or worse, he was used in specific situations, used a lot. He played 50 games, but I don't know Sewell well enough to say that.
B. McD says, one Noah is enough. I can't take no more Noah. I'm not mad at you, B. McD, on that one, but I do like Noah Sewell. Noah more. Okay. Let's go back into the secondary a little bit, into the third round in some people's mock drafts here. I've seen them on 3 or 4 people's mock drafts. Cornerback out of Texas A&M, Jalen Jones, is somebody that's there. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I love Jalen Jones.
But Jalen Jones, I think, is somebody that darting up the draft boards too.
6'2", like he performed very well in like the combine, and it's why I was happy I was able to watch like all the cornerback drills. Like, he's 6'2". He did run a 4.6 40. There are people maybe talking about him maybe going more for that safety role or being more of like that hybrid corner safety, but the kid can play. Like, his coverage skills are apparent. He's got hands. He's very physical, and 6'2", 200-pound corners like him don't come around very often, especially when the NFL is getting bigger and bigger. I would not be opposed for him at pick 84. There's so many good corners that like maybe someone good falls and we can get him. The Maryland guys too are very nice. Deontay Banks, he's like 6 foot, but like if they start shooting up and we're not left with those guys, Jalen Jones is a great consolation prize, Stephen. Like, that's a guy I'm very happy with, and like that's what I mean. Like, there's so many good corners that it'd be like, okay, even if there's a big run on corners, I'm okay because I know I can comfortably get Jalen Jones and be happy with that as a cornerback too, immediate, ready to start for the Dolphins. Play on the outside, be that big boy.
Let's get into some offensive linemen. I really want the Dolphins to go there. Who are some people and where that the Dolphins will be looking at? And do you ultimately think there'll be any mid to high round value picks that'll be there for the taking for the Dolphins, or are they? What do you think about the offensive line?
Offensive line might be a little tougher. If we don't go it in the second round, I don't really know who we're going to go for tackle. There's a lot of good interior offensive linemen, Steven. Even in the 7th round, guys who are tackles who are switching into guards, like in the 7th round, like Nick Saldiveri, good value guy, very late, out of Old Dominion. Mm-hmm. Early on, though, Matthew Bergeron actually out of Syracuse. He had a good combine. He's a right tackle. He like played guard, kicked out the tackle because he's very athletic. I think he can handle that side of the ball. And especially for us, because that'd be more of blind side, I want more of an athletic right tackle. Like, I want a guy who can move a bit, who can adjust and really cover Tua. He's never been asked to handle the blind side like the best pass rusher, but I'd be confident Matthew Bergeron. there's guys like DeJuan Jones or it's gonna kill me. I think Darnell Wright, maybe. I don't know. The guys like from Ohio State, like if they fall a little bit, yeah, there's some big behemoths. But I think we'd be more with like a Michael Bergeron or like an interior offensive lineman like John Michael Schmitz out of Minnesota. He's a center. He can play guard a little bit too. So that could be a route we go at 52.
Somebody said at
Voorhees. Yeah.
Andrew Voorhees. Yeah. Somebody said out of Ohio State, DeJuan Jones is somebody that the Dolphins go after too. Offensive tackle out of Ohio State.
If he starts to slip, we could trade up for him. I'd love him. He's like 6'8", bro. He's massive.
What when you get into the second and third rounds, Nando, I'll even say the mid rounds, where can you find value that can help contribute to your team? Because here's the reality of the situation. There might be 2 or 3 draft players that make this roster. So how do you make these picks count? And we know that if there's a big knock on Grier, it's talent evaluation in some of these picks. What are you looking for from the Dolphins when they're picking in these late rounds? Because, look, here's a reality. We could sit here and say all these players, and we're going to. There'll be a lot of draft talk over the next couple of weeks. Why would he not? What are the Dolphins looking for? And what do you see that Grier looks for?
So sometimes Grier goes for a lot of upside, which is why we've gone for like Austin Jackson, which is why we've gone for Noah Benogany. But in that second round, he usually hits on good players. He takes the talent. Sometimes it's a little confusing at the time of the draft day, but more often than not, his second rounders have panned out. The third rounders as well. I mean, like Brandon Jones is one third rounder I can think of off the top of my head who's done well for us. Channing Tindall, it remains to be seen. But especially in this year, Steven, when I feel like the day 2 is going to be a big day for a lot of people. Steven, we're going to see a lot of studs come out of this day 2 of this draft. First round is talented, but the second and third round is very deep this year. So I want us to see us come within that like best player available mentality. Pick 52 is going to determine the rest of the draft, but get the best guy on our board, and then let the rest of the draft shake out as it may. In the third round, there's good safeties, good corners, good running backs, linebackers and tight ends could be decent there too, but get the good value out of that third round. Really squeeze out, determine whether you want a Devon A-Chain, fastest running back in the draft, if you want them in the third round, whether you want one of the top safeties who's rising like Sidney Brown, or if Jordan Battle out of Alabama is still there, whether you want one of the top tier corners still maybe available if Keely Ringo hasn't shot up draft boards and he's still there, or if Garrett Williams, you want to go for that route, or Trey Hodges Tomlinson. I want the Dolphins to get good starting value out of round 2 and 3 because it's there for the taking this year, man. Please, Dolphins.
Look, I think that the Dolphins, when it comes down to it, are aggressive on many different aspects. And one of the reasons, one of the things is the draft. Look, we were able to get certain draft picks and certain players because of those draft picks, ultimately because Grier is aggressive. I think what you're going to see from this draft is, at least my hope is quality picks at certain positions. Linebacker, secondary, tight end, and offensive line, I think, are where you get a lot of value. But I'm not surprised. I will not be surprised if the Dolphins address a running back. If they find, you said it, 13 running backs with grades 3 or higher in this draft? That's insane. When was the last time that's happened with that depth for running back?
Very deep at running back.
Yeah, that's a lot. So odds are there will be a running back of great quality available. And now here's what I'll say. You're right. If somebody like what's his face from Alabama just had a brain fart again,
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Gibbs is there, then yes, you take the chance on him. And if I'm correct, the Dolphins tried to do that 2 years or last year or the year before when we got Javon Holland, Who went before? Who's the running back in Denver?
Javonte Williams.
Yep. And we tried to trade up to get him, but Denver jumped in front of us to get him.
Yeah.
So it's not like the Dolphins don't know what good talent is and haven't tried to go out and get certain players at certain positions in the past. So I will not be surprised if the Dolphins say, oh, crap, Gibbs is there. Let's jump up and see if we can go get him. But but I think ultimately linebacker is where they go with that second pick, or at minimum the defensive side, because they're going to say to what's his face? New defensive coordinator. I'm having brain farts all over the place. Fangio. That Vic Fangio, hey, look, whoever you want, we'll go get in this draft. And he will have a pick of the litter. And I think ultimately with free agency, they'll address certain other positions when it comes to running back, tight end, and maybe even a wide receiver. Like, I don't see them. I think this draft will be ultimately a defensive-minded draft. Do you agree with that?
100%. Like, I think we have 5 picks. I could see it very simply being 3 on defense, 2 on offense. Maybe we get a running back and an offensive lineman, or a tight end and an offensive lineman, or a running back and a tight end. But for the most part, I think we're going to go for our linebackers, our corner or our safety, maybe another pass rusher if there's some good value for it. It's to be big on defense this year, Steven. It's what's needed, what's cheapest and most efficient, and there's a lot of good players on that side of the ball in this year's draft. So I want them. And Steven, I know you're doing draft stuff on Friday, but we should do a mock draft maybe next Tuesday.
I'm all about it. Let's do it, man. You live mock draft next Tuesday?
Yeah, or whenever you want to. Yeah, it's on PFF. It's pretty easy.
Yeah. All right. Well, you set it up and we'll do it together. You and I.
Boom.
We'll make it happen. We'll record it and everything if we need to, or we'll do it live, whatever you think.
Yeah, you just got it. We can just share the screen and like it's I can show you after the show if you want. So we can play around with it. Yeah.
And maybe we'll try to get Jason on it, and all 3 of us can do it together. I think.
Yeah.
All 3 of us were to do
Friday,
it.
I have classes. But I would love to if Jason can on a Tuesday. Like, that'd be awesome.
So I know Jason's done a lot of content on Dolphins Wire for his stuff when it comes to the draft. So I know I want to talk to him about that, the salary cap, and we'll talk a lot about that on Friday. But I love the opportunity to do a mock draft with all of you live and discuss that because I just think it'll be great content and good stuff.
Our little GM hats on, and we could be the room. We could be the guys deciding how to go down, and it'll give us an accurate representation. I mean, PFF's not the greatest mock draft simulator, and maybe Jason knows a better one, but that's also why I was saying, like, have your Friday talk with him too, so I know you can get a little bit more versed in the draft sphere, and we can get a nice simulation of how the draft board is going to start shaking out for the Dolphins. And it's only going to get more and more accurate as it gets closer to the draft. But I'm excited, Steven. We can get some good talent, man.
All right. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. We got a little bit of time left. What I want to do right now is open up the lines for you to come on and ask Nando and I a question. We'll take a few of them. I'm not going to do a lot, no big panels, but if you want to come on and ask Nando and I a question about the draft, about free agency, about the Dolphins, I just put the link to the chat in the link below. We'll let you come on. We'll let you ask anything you want, and we'll get you Nando's and I answers. If you want to put it in the chat, just put hashtag hot take, and you can ask a question or you can say a take, and we'll talk about it. What do you all right, we got first one. I like it already.
There we go.
Good morning, Todd. How are you?
What's going on?
What's going on, man?
Hey, the question I got, you guys brought up Henry.
Derrick Henry.
Yep, he's only owed about $10 million.
Okay.
Remember how we did with Tannehill? We took a little bit of his salary cap on to give them a better pick, and we had to give up a pick or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think maybe to get a better pick, Tennessee could take some of the salary cap on, and that would help us out.
So first of all, that would constitute us going out to trade for him, and I don't see that happening.
You know,
no, not.
The one thing I can say, I'm not one for getting. I'm not one for a veteran running back, but he would make teams stack the box and leave the middle of the field open for Tua all day long, just by his name.
No, yeah, the size and the presence of Henry would definitely command a lot of respect, Todd. And pleasure to see you again, man. My buddy Nathan was strongly advocating for that point yesterday, saying like he painted a pretty picture, honestly, Todd. Like you got Jalen Waddle, you have Tyreek Hill, they go up, they go down deep, and you still have Derek, or like you have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, they line up outside, and then you have Derrick Henry right there in I formation. What the frick do you do? Okay.
Yeah, because you remember what
run, or do you play the pass?
Yeah, but you remember what San Francisco and the Chargers both did to us. They've dropped their linebackers back into coverage. You do that, Derrick Henry's going to have a field day.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like Henry prevents that from happening. Is what what I'm trying to say. He did it a lot better than I did. But
look,
it'd be nice, man. It's just the cost.
It's the cost of what you would have to go get him, right? Which look, a second round pick, maybe, right? There's consideration there, but if I'm correct, he's owed $16 million, not 10. I think it's 16 million that he's owed this upcoming season.
I know it's the last year of his contract.
I know it's big.
Track. Derrick Henry.
I want Henry. Like if he was a free agent, Todd, like it'd be different because then you're not talking about the draft pick. Then we can negotiate a contract with him, and we can figure it out.
The cap hit on him this year is $16 million.
Okay. Now, if he's traded, how much of it do they have to eat? That's guaranteed.
I mean, the dead cap on him is $10 million. That's where the $10 million comes from, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Look, I think the reality of the situation is Derrick Henry averaged 4.6 yards per carry last season, and our running backs together averaged 4.6 yards per carry, on less carries, mind you. So now Derrick Henry rushed for more yards, obviously, but the game plan is a lot different compared to the Dolphins to the Tennessee Titans, right? So I think that we can get just as good a value. The stat for me when it comes to running backs is, are you getting more than 4.5 yards per carry? And if you are, you're valuable to me. And if you go back and look at the last 10 Super Bowl winners, running backs, only 3 of them have made more than $1 million, and nobody's been paid more than 4.
Now, here's the thing, though. What you just brought up is a good point. He averaged about the same amount of yards per carry as our running backs, right?
Yep.
Ours did it against empty boxes. His did it against stacked boxes.
That's a pretty good point.
I mean, look, I'm not denying Derrick Henry's talent. I'm not saying he's not a great.
He's the only thing Tennessee had last year because A.J. Brown was gone. He was the only weapon they had on offense the entire year.
Look, I'll say this. In my opinion, it's a luxury, and I think that addressing the offensive line is much more key to the Dolphins' success rather than going out.
I don't know if they're going to do that, by the way Greer made it sound. It sounds like we're going to run it back, and if we're going to run it back, I want a running back who can help the offensive line with a fullback in front of him. Derrick Henry's the only one that can do that.
I mean, here's the reality.
I like Kareem Hunt.
Here's the reality. There'll be plenty of running backs that are good running backs that are available via trade, right? Saquon or free agency. Saquon, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb.
Now, the only person besides Henry,
and I know that Tony Pollard and Josh Jacobs were franchise tagged, but that still doesn't mean they can't be traded.
Now, the only thing I can say, the only running back besides Henry that I can say doesn't need that A-plus offensive line to get his yards, because you saw what happened with Saquon when they didn't have a great line. He didn't play great. Now is Nick Chubb. He'd be the only other one I could think, because he's such a big bruiser and power back. He's like his own offensive line. And you forget Derrick Henry and Chubb really didn't have a fullback the way we have a fullback in our backfield to help them in front of them, to help lead block. That makes it even worse for a defensive line if you drop people back to stop Waddle and Tyreek. You know what I mean? It's a tough call.
I understand the fan base and the want to go get a superstar running back. I'm just telling you, when it's all said and done, odds are Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert are going to be.
And I can live with that as long as we get the linebacker we need, that we want, as long as we get the safety. You know what I mean? And even if I can live with that, we fixed up our defense and got a couple offensive linemen. I just don't want to see us go back and have the same issues as last year running the ball.
I agree on that, Todd. But there's some good runners in this draft, though, man. Like, if we get the right one,
yeah, because we admit we were putrid on 3rd and 1s.
That's what I'm saying. I want a bruiser, like, because there is Devon A-Chain in the draft, but he's like he runs a 4.32, but he's like 5'9", 190. Like, I'd rather get like a Zach Charbonnet, like out of UCLA, who's like 6'1", 220. Like,
yeah, but there's also the guy from Pittsburgh who's something like 210.
Yeah,
and
Israel.
Speed.
I can't
Don't
say
have
his
to
name.
say his last name.
Yeah, Abinikonda. He's so good. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why, like, I love Henry Todd.
But
I think there's some good bruisers.
I have a feeling they're going to get Sean Tucker. They've been looking a lot. They've been looking at him very high. And then the thing I do like about Tucker is he can break tackles.
Yeah, 5'11", 200 pounds, man. Like he met with the Dolphins. Like, that's someone we could be looking at. Like, I'd rather go down that route with, like you said, man, with our fullback, fix up the offensive line.
I brought this up last night. The only way I would get him, he's a 1-year rental basically. So you get Henry, you get Mostert, and then you can still draft a running back to replace for next year, or if anything goes wrong this year. That's the only thing I was saying. You leave Wilson out. That's basically Wilson's replacement. But
look, I'll say this, Todd. Last thing before I let you go.
Yeah,
there's no way the Dolphins go out and get Derrick Henry. It's never going to happen.
I'm just praying the guy doesn't end up in Buffalo.
Don't be surprised if that happens. Bro. Buffalo. I'll say this, Todd. Buffalo will get a running back this offseason and a good one.
Yeah. And they're getting rid of Edmonds, and they're going to be losing Poyer, so they're going to be stacking up that offense.
Yeah, well, and I think Poyer could end up in Miami. I just want to throw that out there. I think that's legit.
I think it's a lock. I think that's pretty much locked.
All right, Todd, anything else before I let you go?
No, y'all have a wonderful day. Steven, welcome back. We missed you. And I'm glad you're feeling better, man.
Appreciate it, brother. Be good.
Be easy, Todd. Take it easy, man.
Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. If you have a question, you want to talk draft, you want to talk free agents, put it in the chat. The link is in the chat right now, and you can click on it and come up here and ask us a question, whatever you want. Let me bring up the next guest. Canes Heat, what's up? Good morning.
Good morning, buddy. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
Good, man. Hey, I just had a quick question.
Yep.
Seeing how we might keep Wilson and Mostert, if we keep one of them, do you see the Dolphins possibly trading, back into the second round after we get a linebacker? Do you see them, if they really like a running back that they like, could you see the Dolphins maybe trading both of our, I know it's crazy, but both of our third round picks to go up and get the guy that we actually want? Or do you maybe see us after we get the linebacker we want in the second round? Could you see them possibly trading both, or one in a third or a fourth, for Jalen Ramsey? I'm just throwing things out there.
So look, here's the reality of the situation. The Dolphins are going to be on some sort of running back, whether it be. Let me say this. Dolphins are perfectly content with Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert back next year.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
And Salvin Ahmed is loved by the team. The team loves Salvon. So I don't see that situation going away. But the question is, do you keep 4 running backs? Do you keep 5 running backs? Last year, if I'm correct, we kept 5 running backs and 5 tight ends.
So let me ask you this: if Gibbs was there still in the second round after we maybe made our pick, would you be mad at the fact if they traded both the third-round picks to go up and get him? I know that's a tough
hefty.
one.
That's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough. Here's what I'll say. If Gibbs is still there, Kane's Heat, that means there's 13 other quarterbacks or running backs, that are still there because he'll be the first or second running back to go, right?
Right.
So there'll be 11 minimum. There'll be 11 running backs there probably available by the time we get to that third round. Now, do I see them trading back up into the second? No, probably not. But I could totally see a world where they trade up, a third and a fifth to go higher in the third to go reach on a running back. Look, it's not out of the question. The Dolphins have been known to trade up certain spots to go get the player that they want. They've done that.
Well, now,
what do you that? Trading up in the third round. What do you think of
the possibility of them going to getting Jalen Ramsey for maybe a third and a fifth or a third and one of our thirds? How would you feel about that?
Jalen's a very interesting thing. He's definitely gonna, he's gonna be gone. What is his value? What he got from Jacksonville, what Jacksonville got for him, there's no way LA's getting that for him. But they also know that, I don't know. Teams might just say it's not worth a high round value pick. And I don't know, it probably behooves the LA to say, we'll just cut you and see if we can get a draft compensation compensation pick the following year. I don't know if that's possible or not, but I think it might be. But
I just have a
feeling hardball, man. There's
I
a lot
have
of
a
good
feeling
corners
they're
this
just gonna
class.
get rid of him, man. Like they're gonna get rid of him for like dirt cheap, and we're gonna miss out on that.
Yeah, but we're gonna address secondary, I think, maybe in the draft, and we probably, Byron's gonna be gone. Here, I'm not worried about missing out on players because whoever we sign defense wise, at least on the defense, I trust Vic Fangio 100% without a doubt.
So, no, I agree.
So have faith that Vic Fangio is going to make the right picks no matter. And here's the other reality to the situation. There's so many quality players in the draft and in free agency. The Jets, the Bills, the Patriots, they're going to get players. So just be prepared to hear some of those teams getting quality and good players. But it doesn't mean that that's the end of the world for the Dolphins.
I just hope we can do enough to keep up with them, that's all. Because we all know the Jets are one quarterback away from blowing this division up. So.
I disagree with that, by the way.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just saying they got a top 5 defense, If
I don't know a top 5 defense. They got a really good defense. You're right, 100%. They got a good young nucleus. But one thing that they had going for them this year, is health. They were healthy on the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
But the other reality to the situation is there were some moments where that defense just looked horrible. There were some moments that they did not look good, at least in certain games. But they also won some big games this year. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, but all right, man. Well, thanks for having me up. I just want
no problem, man. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, man. You all have a great day.
You too, buddy. Bro. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Do me a big favor. If you're interested, hit the link. We're going to stay on for a couple more minutes, and then we're going to get out. I'd like to get 2 more people on, maybe 3. If you have a question or you want to give us, your thoughts about free agents or the draft, I want to hear from you. The link is in the comment below, or is in the comment section to the side. I definitely want to hear from you. Nando, man, is there any interesting thing that you've had a question about that you would like to discuss? when it comes to the Dolphins free agency draft? Anything, players?
Yeah, I mean, I've been really focused on the draft recently, even the free agents coming up, Steven. Like I've looked at every position except for like D lineman, I'd say.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Do you think we go offense or defense first pick? That'd be my thing. But I see Williams in the back.
The defense, by the way, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, let me go ahead and bring on the next guest, William Ice Tray Perry. What's up, Ice Tray?
Steven!
My
How's it
man,
going,
William.
Nando!
What's up, buddy?
How's it going, boss?
Uh-oh. The internet
Slow-mo.
monster's coming to get you.
Slow-mo Perry.
Guys, we're out here putting out fire. Are we better yet? I'll come back out and come back in whenever I get closer to somewhere better.
Okay, William, do that.
Take it easy, Will.
All I could think of was Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Let's see that in super slow-mo.
Terry freaking go, man.
All right, we got Walt Dog in the back. Good morning, Walt Dog. What's going on, man? You're on mute,
Yo,
Walt.
what's up, Steph?
My guy,
What's
man.
up,
How are
Steph?
you?
What's up, man? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. You feel me?
What's your question this morning? What do you want to talk about?
No,
this
I'm
afternoon?
just watching the podcast. You feel me? I see we talking about running backs and stuff. You feel me? So I mean,
Well, this seems to be a very popular topic for the fan base, and I think, and by the way, I think it's a popular topic for the fan base, Walt, because at the end of the day, there's some big names, and fans get pumped up for certain players.
Yeah.
Saquon, big name. Dalvin Cook, big name. Derrick Henry, big name. Who wouldn't want to see them playing for your team?
Exactly. Borderline Hall of Fame talent. You feel me? Borderline. But,
In certain cases,
Very good players.
Trust me, I ain't gonna lie. I was pushing hard for Josh Jacobs. Like I was pushing hard for Josh Jacobs, but obviously he's getting tagged. As
he's not happy about that. That is not a good. Like he has publicly stated he is not happy about that.
Yeah, he said it at the Pro Bowl. He said if they do that, hero turn villain. Hero turn villain.
Yeah.
And I feel like what he's gonna do, because he has leverage to do that. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler and he's the season's first team All Pro. So I think he does what Le'Veon Bell did. Like, he shows up at the end of he holds out. He holds out and he comes in. But honestly, the Raiders, they have cap space. They literally can back up the Brinks truck for him. Like, they literally can do whatever they want to do with him. And I'm pretty sure they're going to bring in a young guy at quarterback. I don't know. I don't think they really go after, a big money guy, like an Aaron Rodgers or Jimmy Garoppolo or yada, yada, yada. I think they have to get a quarterback. So what do you do when you have a young quarterback? You match him with a all-pro running back. So, they're most likely going to keep him for the long term and stuff. I really would have hoped the Dolphins had an opportunity at least at him. He went to college with Tua and Waddle. I mentioned yesterday on your podcast, signing the interior offensive lineman Bradley Bozeman, went to Bama with them boys. You feel me? I feel like that would have been a strong unit, bringing in Josh Jacobs. People, the Miami fans, they have a misconception that the Dolphins don't go after big name running backs. Okay, the Dolphins went after Reggie Bush, Sean Moreno, Arian Foster,
Ricky Williams
at the time, Frank Gore. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's not like they don't go after big name running backs. Obviously, no one wants to be paying a shitload of money for a running back. Like, let's be real. No one wants to do that. You feel me? But they do their due diligence on the type of backs that they would bring into the organization. And I'm sorry to say, I feel like they would have been in on. Obviously, rumors has already came out that the Dolphins are interested in Kareem Hunt, when free agency comes in. And I think they should go after Kareem Hunt. I think they should go after Kareem.
But Walt, here's another thing you got to remember. There's going to be so many rumors over the next 2.5 weeks. Or when is the draft, Nando?
April 28th to 29th.
Okay, so we got what? 6 weeks, 7 weeks of rumors. There's going to be a million rumors about running back, and especially about running backs.
Yeah.
But and quarterback situation too, because especially when it comes to the backups, because some of these teams need to wait to see what they're going to get from the draft if they are in quarterback need. By the way, mind you,
yeah.
You know, let me just say this: people are doing a lot of mock drafts. Fans, I'm going to say this right now, and you can disagree with me, and Nando can disagree with me if you want. But if your Miami Dolphins mock draft has a quarterback in it,
flush it down the drain. Yeah,
flush it down the drain.
Waste of a pick.
Straight trash.
Yeah.
And because I've seen people with Hendon Hooker up there.
Yeah.
The Dolphins like Skylar Thompson.
Yeah.
They are going after a veteran backup quarterback. There is no way in the world that McDaniel's going to have a second year and a first year and a rookie as backups. Just not going to do it.
I hear you. I know. Trust me. I hear you.
If your mock draft has a quarterback in it, flush it down the drain.
That's funny.
Hot Take Tuesday.
I'm telling you, it's not even Wednesday yet, man. It's not even Wednesday yet. Wild out Wednesday. But no.
Anything else for us, Walt, before we let you go?
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I just don't agree with bringing back Raheem Mostert because we did that already. Yeah, Raheem had 1,000 all-purpose yards. He had like 700 rushing yards and then 300 receiving yards, yada yada. I don't think the backfield with Tua and Raheem, it didn't really put fear in the eyes of defenses, and I just don't think that's the best pairing. Raheem is a low-level RB run, and he can be good, but he has to be with a quarterback that's already respected in the league. Tua's not respected in the league yet. So they're just going to punch him in the mouth, sit him down, and let's get back to Tua to punching him in the mouth. You get what I'm saying? We need a running back who can punch somebody in the mouth. And I think a back like David Montgomery, what else? Kareem Hunt. You feel me? There's backs out there that we can get for like roughly $4 to $6 million, maybe $8 million at most. Like we don't have to break the bank. No one is saying we have to go after a $15 million guy, But I just think bringing back Raheem Mostert won't be the answer. Re-sign Jeff Wilson. We already spent a 5th pick on him. It would be malpractice just to have him for like 8-9 games and basically have a 5th round pick, basically just walk out the run. So just bring back Jeff Wilson, bring back Savon Ahmed. You feel me? If we go for a running back day 2, that's not a problem. If we get a running back with the 3rd round pick, even the 2nd round pick, if Najee Harris, if Gibbs falls, absolutely I'm running up to get him. Why not? You feel me? But I'm not pressing the envelope to get a running back. If we get a running back, day 3 to be RB3 or RB4, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as we get a better RB1, bring back Jeff, bring back Savon Ahmed, draft a day 3 or undrafted free agent to be RB3 or 4, and just solidify the RB1 position. And I think we should definitely go after Kareem Hunt. If Kareem Hunt is available, I think he'll be the safe bet. Bring him in. We already tried to get him through the trade deadline. It didn't go through. Just bring in Kareem Hunt, and I think it'll be a little bit better than what we had last season. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, man, I appreciate your take, Walt. Appreciate you coming on this morning, brother.
1,000% spot on.
All right, man, be good.
Thank you, Nando. Thank you, Steph. I appreciate y'all.
No problem. Be good.
Easy, Walt.
All right. Roll Tide, Mr. Alabama himself. William, are you in a better place now?
I'm in a much better place.
Okay.
I'm in a much better. I love everybody's finally jumping on this page about that. I've been telling everybody, including y'all, about Jahmyr Gibbs since the beginning of last season. I've said it over and over. He's the best running back in that draft class.
Bijan Robinson, but close to.
I think he's just Kamara 2.0. He's just amazing. His 2nd level speed, guys. I don't know if you've ever watched these clips, but it is unreal. It looks like Deion Sanders at running back. 2 steps and the dude's gone, and he's got a 2nd burst that's out. Just blow. They have to take different angles at him to catch him on his 2nd burst. So it's just amazing. If we can't get Derrick Henry, the king, And I'll tell you what Derrick Henry does if we even think about this. Derrick Henry is a great blocker, and because he's just a massive body. Now, I mean, that'll just change up the way that they look at the duo between Tua and Derrick by itself, because they know that Derrick can block, so that changes the whole way that you have to look at whoever's playing quarterback if you've got Derrick Henry back there. Right. I still just want us to focus. I want us to focus more just on offensive line. If we can get Jahmyr Gibbs, get him, take him, steal him, because he's going to win. He's going to come over to the Dolphins and change the whole thing up. You know what I mean? But we already got the best receiving core, probably top 5 receiving core in the game. With Ezekama's coming. You've got Tyreek, you've got Waddle, right? So we've got that position shared up. We need corners, right?
You know, real quick, I do want to say I'm very interested to see what happens with Ezekama this year, because he was a healthy scratch a lot last year and didn't get a lot of playing time. And it surprised me a lot. It did. Well,
it was mostly because of the playbook. He couldn't adjust to the playbook fast enough. I mean, it takes more reps than an off season like that, especially whenever you're coming from Georgia to this type of system. It's a little bit different. You know what I mean? So you got to take into that. Will his second year be great? He's a big body receiver, is exactly what we need. He's 6'2", probably 210, 195, 205, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the side we need. We need a guy like that in between Waddle and Tyreek. You know what I'm saying? We got to have a big body guy, and that's going to be that guy, right?
Yeah.
And he can probably take and he's fast enough where he can run it out of the backfield.
I thought Ezekama was small. Is he tall?
No, he's 6'2". I think he's 6'2", 210 or something like that.
Yeah, he's like 6'2", like 220, bro. Like he's like a thick boy.
Yeah.
He played like that wide back role. Yeah.
And he's got ups, yeah. Okay. He's got ups. We have that. We need that at that position. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and no matter what, I want to see him get more playing time this year. And
I think you'll see a huge.
I saw what he did in preseason with Skyler. I already know that the guy can ball out in preseason. Yeah. I want to see what he can do in the regular season and get more reps.
Nando, in our draft, and just strictly Miami, who's the best interior lineman or right tackle for us to be looking at in the draft? Who do you think's the best? And that's going to fall into our position.
Like DeJuan Jones would be lovely if he falls to us, but probably Matthew Bergeron, like I was saying. He's like a nice athletic right tackle, athletic enough that I think he could play the blind side. He went to Syracuse. He played guard a bit as well if he ends up having to kick in ever, but I would like him at tackle. Interior, like John Michael Smith is pretty nice. He's out of Minnesota. Luke Weipler out of Ohio State also has fallen a little bit sometimes in some mock drafts. Both centers. I think John Michael Schmitz can play guard. I'm not sure about Luke Weipler, but I'm sure they can if they have to, if they want to leave Connor Williams at center. I could see us going that at 52. I have to check for later rounds. There's a couple of guards like in the 6th and the 7th round, like TJ Bass out of Oregon or like Nick Saldiveri out of Old Dominion. So we could definitely go offensive lineman in the draft, William. Like I want us to. Like there's value.
The thing about it is everybody that apparently in the building, at left guard, Igbenogany's they're really, really high on the guy. Maybe we're not seeing what they're seeing. You know, we didn't like it.
I'll say this. I'll interrupt you and say this. If Noah Igbenogany is on this team next year, it's because Vic Fangio sees something in him. No other reason. Because in my opinion, he doesn't deserve to be on the roster. But I will trust in Vic Fangio if he sees something that I don't.
Yeah. I mean, not Igbenogany. Not Noah Igbenogany. I'm an idiot. The left guard that got hurt. Eichenberg. My bad. I'm sorry. I misspoke. Igbenogany, Eichenberg. One's white, one's black, one's skinny, one's big. How'd you mix that one up? William.
Hey, real quick, just want to throw this out there. Bet online. And I want to say something else too. Bet online. Odds of Derrick Henry's next team. The Bills are plus 300. They're the favorite to land Derrick Henry.
I would think that'd be where he would go more than anything.
The second favorite team to land Derrick Henry?
Miami Dolphins.
The Miami Dolphins at 400. Plus 400.
That's actually really close.
You have the Giants at plus 500, the Ravens at plus 600, the Saints at 700, and then it goes a little crazy after that. But the Bills are favored at plus 300 to land Derrick Henry, and Miami's right behind him at plus 400.
The Bills are definitely going to make a move at running back. You know what I'm saying? They have to. Singletary's good, but it's making a guy miss. Yeah, he's really good at that, but he's not good at moving forward and making a miss. That's the problem. You know, he's a great pass catcher out of the backfield too. I mean, he really is. But I just don't know like who's going to be your next piece. Zach Moss came over to the Indianapolis Colts for that trade, and he did well at Indianapolis after Jonathan what's his face went out.
Cy says another sports book has the Eagles favorite to get Henry. I mean, look, they're all going to have different people. Hey, real quick, just speaking of gambling real quick, want to let you guys know March Madness is coming up right around the corner. I'm going to be running a bracket poll on CBS this year. So if you are interested, I'm running a bracket poll on CBS this year. Bracket will be set on Sunday, obviously. If you want an invite, DM me at StephenDSKPL. Your email address, so that way I can send you an invite through the CBS link. It's $20 per bracket. You can do up to 3 brackets per email.
I'm gonna do it with you, Stephen.
The top 3 will pay out. You can Zelle if you're interested in Zelle. You can DM me, PayPal, MSM Podcast Network, or Cashapp $ MSM Podcast Network. So you can do up to 3 brackets. It's $20 per bracket. Per email, by the way. It's not, I guess, if you have different emails, you can do 6 brackets or 9 brackets, but it's 3 brackets per email. So send me your email and send me the money, and then I'll have this out to you by Saturday or Sunday. So
write mine down right now, Stephen.
Huh? No.
Write mine down right now, Stephen.
No.
I got
stuff to do. I got people to see. What's your final thought of the day?
You got 3 fingers over there. My final thought of the day is y'all look beautiful today.
It is. It most definitely is.
No, y'all look beautiful today.
I look beautiful?
Thank you.
Yeah,
William.
You and Nando. I think everybody needs to tell y'all how handsome y'all look. How handsome y'all look today.
Well, I do need a haircut and a shave, but
first off, don't down talk yourself like that, Stephen.
I do need.
You're big. You're big and beautiful.
Your beards.
It's time to trim this up. I've let it grow out.
All right, news and updates. I will be at Live this weekend doing stand up.
Well, people need to know where you're at. Where's Live?
Live in Foley, Alabama.
Foley, Alabama. If you're going to be in the Foley, Alabama area this weekend, you go to Live and you see William Perry do some stand up. And by the way,
the weather around here is beautiful.
Next year, William Perry, Von 954, and Oscar. I'm going to be doing. They're all Dolphins fans, and they all do stand up. I'm going to do a stand up special next year.
Fins laugh too.
Yep, Fins laugh too, and yeah, I think it'll be good.
It's going to be awesome. And I get to come to Miami, hang out with people that look like me all the time. You know what I mean?
So, I don't know if they look like you. You're Creole, so
we look similar. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be some question marks, of course, but guys, I'll see y'all soon. Have a great day. Hey, it was good seeing you. Good talking to you. I gotta come over to your channel one day and I'm gonna harass you for an hour.
That'd be a fun time, man.
Me and you are gonna make up 10 full hat conspiracy theories for football season all next year. How about that? Me and you.
William, I would love nothing more, man.
And I got to do that with CB83 too, because I owe him because I kind of flaked on him. Not really, but like something. Guys, it's good seeing you. I'll see y'all soon.
Love you, brother. Be good, man.
Love you too, guys.
Take it easy.
Love that guy.
Stand up sick, man. Always.
William Perry, the ice tray, not the refrigerator. You know the William Refrigerator Perry, the running back for the Bills? Well, he's William Perry, but he's the ice tray.
The ice
William
tray,
ice
not
tray
the fridge.
Not the fridge. Oh, my goodness. It was a fun time hanging out today, man. This was a great show. I enjoyed it. We competed with a lot of people this morning, but, you know.
We held our own.
We held our own. We did our thing. We were like 60 strong the whole morning. Usually we're at like 150. You know, but other people were live this morning. That's fine. I'm not going to say anything about him. He's my guy. I love him. This week's going to be crazy. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on this week. So I knew this week was going to be insane.
I'm excited, man.
I know
it's right around the corner.
Free agency's right around the corner, and there's a lot that's going to go down in the franchise tags. And I honestly thought there'd be more NFL news starting this morning because of yesterday, but I guess not. What is your final thoughts of the day?
As much as free agency is right around the corner, a little bit because I don't think the Dolphins are going to make too crazy of moves. Maybe a piece here and there. I'm very excited for the draft, Steven. I'm diving into it. I've been mock drafting all the time. It's been so interesting seeing how the board's been shifting and changing, and it will continue changing until draft day. Like you said, man, plenty of rumors to come in the next 6 weeks, but I'm excited. I'm excited for you to get into the draft spirit. Talk about it with Jason on Friday. We'll do a mock draft on Tuesday, man, or whenever, and then we can do it regularly. It'll be fun time. You'll see it's super easy, bro. And get in the swing of the draft, man. We got some young Dolphins coming in, hopefully, and I'm very excited to follow along pro days too. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about it with you, Steven. Thank you for having me on, man. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And if you want to check us, keep following us Miami Sports Music. But if you want to check out Nando Talk too, I just cracked 800, so no.
You're almost at the 1,000, baby. You're getting there.
Yeah,
go follow Nando Talk. Go follow Nando Talk. Make sure y'all do that.
Thank you for always the help, Steven. That's what I was gonna say also though. So it's always a pleasure, man. Thank you for having me on.
I'd do anything for you, man. And I do mean anything.
Pins up always, brother. Love you.
Pins up always. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers. Real quick, I don't gamble anymore personally. I haven't gambled in a long time, over 5.5 years. Almost 6 years in August. So but around this time always kind of brings back memories of doing, brackets and stuff like that. If you have a gambling problem, you can always call the Gamblers Hotline. Make sure you go check that out. But around this time, it's crazy, right? Tournaments are going on, basketball tournaments.
It's wild.
So I'm watching SportsCenter last night, and I'm watching Scott Van Pelt, and he brings up Bad Beats. I don't know if you've ever seen a segment of Bad Beats.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was crazy because there was a game last night, in one of them, there were the the point spread was 8. It was 8. And the game was 9 points. All right. And it was Cornell in whoever Cornell was playing against. Wofford, maybe. I don't know.
Keep talking.
But anyways, so the point spread was 8.
Columbia.
It's 9. It was Columbia. There's 2 timeouts that happened in the last 30 or 40 seconds so that they could have the seniors come off. But there was also these TV timeouts because one of them ended up having to be a TV timeout, right? Well, they ended up, because I guess the clock restarted, turning the ball over. And the other team just dribbled it and threw up a stupid half-court shot, and it went in. And it ended up being by 6. My worst beat I ever had to this day is Jimmer Fredette and BYU in March Madness. And the same thing. The point spread was 6. It was 9 points. The game was over. Jimmer Fredette threw up a half-court shot just for the fun of it, and it went in and it hit. And I lost. Like the most I had ever lost at that time. So to this day, if I ever see Jimmer Fredette on the street, I mean business. Like it's going down. I will forever hate Jimmer Fredette because of that. But yeah, man, it's totally, that time of the year. And so, I was like thinking of good ways to raise money for the channel and help the channel grow. And I was like, let's do a bracket pool. People get a chance to win some money, get to watch some games, and raise some money for the channel. So we're doing the bracket pool. So make sure you guys get in on that. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited for it. I'm not going to do a bracket, but I might have my wife do one just to get in there. So it'll be
there. We go. I love the bracket time, man.
Bracket time's always interesting. I mean, back in the day when I was really going gambling, I mean, I would take the first 2 days off of the tournament, Thursday and Friday, and you would see me at Buffalo Wild Wings with like 10 brackets. And the first 4 days I would be I would be in Buffalo Wild Wings for the first 4 days of the tournament.
Bro,
and it was crazy.
It's fun, man.
When I was actively gambling, that's how it was for me. I was in Buffalo Wild Wings for the first 4 days of the tournament. And I loved it because I would sit at a table. I wouldn't be bothered. This was pre-kids, everything, So, I mean, this was years ago. But, yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. All right, man. Tomorrow is Wednesday, Wildin' Out Wednesday. That'll be a lot of fun. Somebody asked you real quick. Caslin said you want to talk about Stocker stuff. Hey, where is Messi coming here? Is he coming to Miami?
I was just running a message around in the chat. Dude, yes, like I'd love to talk soccer anytime. So I know PSG is they're a bit unhappy. Like Mbappe might want to leave. Like Neymar seems to be the only one staying, and Messi's getting up there. He's talked about coming to the MLS. David Beckham. So there's like a salary cap in the MLS also, which is, in my opinion, a little dumb for no other soccer league has like a salary cap except for like the European League has like a super cap, and then it's more like a tax that you can just pay to break the cap. In the MLS, you only have 3 players who go over the cap, almost like certain rights kind of thing. The MLS owners of the league have already said they're down. The commissioner said, Beckham, do whatever you have to do. You want to bring in Messi, you can pay him whatever you want. You can give him a stake in the team. Do whatever you have to do because he'd be the highest profile player the MLS has ever seen. And they literally invented this rule so that David Beckham could originally come to the LA Galaxy all those years back. So Beckham is ready to do it. This is the same rule that allowed Beckham to get a team in the MLS. Basically, LA Galaxy paid him, and then they said, we'll give you, in the future, you'll be able to build your own franchise. And that's how he made Inter Miami. The goal would be to get Messi to do the same thing, play here in Miami, and then build a team somewhere else in the future if he ever wants to. I think Messi's a smart businessman. He'd probably want to. He does have a desire to play for his hometown team in Argentina, Rosario, which is like his little barrio team, like his little neighborhood team. And he wants to play for them while he still has like a chance for them to win the championship, because it'd be crazy if they did. But I still think he has enough in the tank to be able to play in the MLS for a couple of years and then go to Argentina
and finish his career there.
To finish his career, yeah. Although the MLS isn't at the same level as the Argentina league, like it'd be harder for him to play. Like if he wants to win, he probably should play in Argentina first and then in the MLS. But if the business opportunity is there, I can see him going to America first and then to Argentina to finish it off.
It's so funny, being Inter Miami and having done some stuff with them in the past. That whole situation, with Beckham there is great. And I think having Messi there, I mean, that experience, I haven't been to a game. Have you been to a game?
So I have been to an Inter Miami game. I did go to a soccer friendly in the Inter Miami stadium. I was pretty impressed with the stadium itself.
It's all black and pink. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's black and pink. It looks really cool. I had like some pictures on my phone, but like it was a nice experience that fans were able to get in it. The acoustics were really cool. Like you were able to like feel that soccer vibe, which if I know a lot of people don't like really jive with soccer, but if you're able to go to a game, the atmosphere
is insane. Yeah,
it's insane. It doesn't stop. Like it's football has the ups and downs, the highs and lows. Like the highs of football are insane, but soccer's nonstop. Like you're people are just cheering. They're just crazy. They're just passionate. So Inter Miami, if they had Messi, the stadium would be packed all the time. It's in a good location, and it'd do wonders for the MLS. Just a lot more stars would take it seriously, and they could keep coming in. You know, be fun.
Real quick, I don't normally say stuff like this, but I'm usually a big Twitter guy. Twitter has fallen off. Like you don't get the same updates. Like I'm getting like day old when I hit refresh on Twitter.
Yeah, they changed. They messed with the algorithm, and like I don't know. I might try out
Elon.
Twitter again.
What are you doing, guy? You screwed up the algorithm. Twitter was an amazing place, and I was all for him buying it. I was, but man, I am upset with the because I don't see like I used to see the latest, and now I'm getting like
random people before I find my NFL analyst on Twitter now, and I've got to start like turning on notifications for people because if not, I'll just never see it, man. Like it's very annoying. And
I love Twitter, but frustrated with it.
Oh, and really quick, Kazan, I know Saudi offered him $430 million. That's why, like, I don't know if he'd do it just because then it's like he's falling in Ronaldo's footsteps. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if at that point he's choosing between Argentina or a business deal, I could see because $430 million is pure business. The Argentina team, I think he'd be playing for free.
$430 million a year is not pure business, Nando. I'm going for the money, straight.
Argentina could be playing for free. You know what I'm saying? Like he'd be doing a charity for them. Like he'd be saying like, yo, you can't pay me. Like, what are they gonna do? Pay him $1,000 a year? Like that's what they can really afford. You know what I'm saying? Like a couple thousand. So like he's just gonna play for free. He'd probably do even commercials for them to help them raise money type stuff. So I could see him getting his payday in the MLS first, and then going to Argentina.
Hey, real quick, just a quick question. The team that Ryan Reynolds owns, are they a good team?
I think so. I know it's an EPL team. Ryan Reynolds soccer team. Let me check again.
I didn't know if you knew anything about it.
Yeah, I do. I just forgot. Oh no, they're trash. I forgot. It's Wrexham FC. Wrexham AFC is like a 5th division, 6th division team. They're cool. Like they're higher level than like some like South American leagues, I guess, like Peru maybe, but like those guys are like bartenders also. Like
I just don't understand why he owns a team there. You know, why not get a better team? But I guess soccer teams are stupid expensive though too. So.
Yeah, it's super. I feel like it was more of like he's like if you're gonna dip your toes in that, it's definitely better to invest a couple thousand, maybe like $1 million in like Wrexham AFC than do it like LeBron did and spend millions into Liverpool, which worked out for LeBron because Liverpool ended up like rebounding, becoming very successful, and his investment's grown a lot. But for the most part, yeah, Steven, it's super expensive.
Does LeBron have anything to do other than money with that team?
No,
he's like the majority owner. He's a partial owner.
He's like a tiny percentage of it. I think it's like, man, it can be like at most 10%, Steven. And it was more of like people like it was dumb at the time. Like Liverpool hadn't won anything. They weren't relevant. They were a super historic team, but they hadn't done much. And now they're very strong, always in the forefront of the Champions League, like being champions of Europe. Like it's kind of crazy. So it's worked out for him, but for the most part, yeah, soccer teams don't really just explode. Usually it's like it's an investment to be cool, not really to be a part of the ownership. You have to.
What happened to back in the day when you could start an NFL franchise for $10 million? I miss those days, huh?
Yeah, I guess we'll never be able to start our own franchise, Steven.
It was only in the 60s.
If only we could have, man.
I've seen how much like some of these teams started out back in the day. Like they did the New York Football Giants. I think it was started with like $500. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Nando's going to get a soccer show one day on our channel. Do a straight soccer show, man. 30-minute soccer show once a week.
30 minutes. little football. Me and Kazan chatted up.
Once every couple of weeks, do a soccer segment on my channel live. Talk Inter Miami. And make sure you talk Inter Miami. At least for 5 minutes.
I was saying when it's spaced out, when there's like Champions League, when there's like
there's
like a lot of football, that's perfect, bro.
Yeah, so if you and Kaz should get together, and then you could have a co-host and do 30 minutes once a week or once every couple of weeks, and you go over the week's games. Make sure you talk Inter Miami, but you could talk everything, European League, all of it.
Yeah, the Inter Miami season's about to start up. That'd be perfect.
Get with Caslin. Let's make it happen. Soccer show, my channel.
Caslin, I don't know if you have my Twitter.
It's at Nando Talk _.
Yes. Or if you have Twitter, yeah.
Caslin, hit him up. You guys can do a show on my channel. 30 minutes.
Is only 300 million for a franchise. Let's do it, bro.
Only 300 million. I got $1.
I got a great name for it. The Miami Dolphins.
Do you know what the original Miami football team name was?
I know we had the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. Oh, really?
Before the Dolphins. Do you remember?
No.
For the grand prize of a thumbs up, what was the very first professional football team in Miami? And what was their names? What was their name?
The Marlins?
Wrong. They are still a franchise to this day. Well, their name is. The team doesn't take.
I feel dumb.
They might. Let me look. Let's see if anybody knows.
This is the problems with being a first-generation Dolphins fan, bro. This is weird. This is history.
All right, yeah, it's not the same team, but still.
Ha!
Y'all ready? Going once, going twice. Anybody in the chat for a thumbs up and an attaboy?
An attaboy.
All right, I'll tell y'all. It's it was the here, I'll even put it up on the screen. In 1946 to 1947, there we go. Haloti, the Seahawks,
Really?
the Miami Seahawks.
Why?
And you know what? I was right. Okay, the Miami Seahawks were a professional football team in the America of the All-America Football Conference in the league's inaugural season in 1946. Before they relocated to Baltimore. They became the first major league sports franchise in Miami.
Dang.
The team faced a difficult schedule with many road games. They finished a 14-game regular season at 3-11, last in the AAFC. The franchise, which at the time accrued $350,000 in debt, was seized by the AAFC at the end of the season after its owner declared bankruptcy. And its assets were purchased by a group of entrepreneurs who reorganized it as the original incarnation of the Baltimore Colts.
Wow.
Florida did not have another professional football team for 20 years until the American Football League was founded in 1960, when they added the Miami Dolphins in 1966. While the Seahawks nickname would be revived in the National Football League, added the Seattle Seahawks in 1976. True story. Hot Take Tuesday. There you go. You learned a little something today.
Dang.
Pretty cool, right?
Little info. Thank you, Mr. Steve.
Miami Seahawks. All right. I think that's it for the day. We went over everything today. We had a history lesson. We talked soccer. The only thing we didn't talk. Oh, hold up. Did you watch UFC? John Bone Jones, baby? Heavyweight champion.
A little choke out.
Oh, my God. It was amazing. Shevchenko lost. She lost to Mexico. That was a crazy UFC pay-per-view. Loved every second of it. Loved every second of that pay-per-view.
Some bloodied boys.
It was absolutely a great pay-per-view. Loved it. I'm a big UFC guy. It was such a I'm a huge John. I got to see John Bones Jones here in Baltimore facing Glover Teixeira in like UFC 150 or 140 something.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're a fan like that, Mr. Steven.
I've been a big fan of John Bones Jones.
I pulled out the UFC number and everything.
So, dude, I mean, it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever gotten as a sports fan was seeing a live UFC pay-per-view in John's Bones Jones here in Baltimore. And that was when his brother was playing for the Ravens. It was crazy. Absolutely crazy. Now, here's something else cool that happened. So, they're remaking Roadhouse.
Oh, yeah. With
Patrick Swayze. So Jake Gyllenhaal, part of that movie is he's a UFC fighter and has his comeback. So they filmed part of the fight for UFC. As a matter of fact, I'll share the screen real quick.
Roadhouse.
Where's it at? I want to show you pictures. So this is his images. Here we go. So he did the weigh-in for the UFC, which was absolutely insane, by the way. Why isn't it making the screen bigger? Hold on.
I'll never forgive you.
Say what?
I'll never forgive you.
Why?
Making me wait.
Oh, dude, it was awesome. I can't get the thing up on the screen. But so they did them at the weigh-in, and they changed the backdrop to UFC 222. And then they had him in between fights. They filmed that he was in a fight. So they had him enter the ring earlier in the night before all the fights happened. They had him enter the ring like it was a fight. And then they had him fight, like staged fight, and him knock somebody out. It was really cool. It was really cool. I'm excited about it. I was really cool. I was really upset that they redid Roadhouse because Patrick Swayze's the man. Love Patrick Swayze.
Iconic.
Right? R.I.P.
Iconic, bro.
But it was so cool to see that. And if you go look at pictures on the internet of Gyllenhaal, he is ripped, cuz that dude.
I saw he looks jacked.
That dude is ripped. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, crazy jacked. Oh, but yeah, it was a great fight. Loved it. Loved every second of it. It was awesome. And then I'll say it one more time to end the show. Bubba Wallace got 4th place. Let's go. NASCAR. They turn left. Let's go. Oh, you're over it. Hey, guys, I loved having y'all on today, the ones who stuck around and were loyal to the show. Thank you so much for watching. It was so much fun. Tomorrow is Wildin' Out Wednesday. The real ones, exactly. Tomorrow's Wildin' Out Wednesday. I hope y'all enjoy everything. It was such a fun show. Go follow Nando Talk at Nando Talk _. Follow me, Stephen D, at Stephen D SKPL. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Love you guys. Peace.
I know the whole city riding. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter collar. Whole squad been trained to go. Fence for life, we throw the foe. Singing this just to welcome bro. To a time, to a time.